She is a student of ready to hear Madam Faith Iyahan. Please use the comment section. Let's give her a round of welcome. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, 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 welcome. Go ahead, do that in the comment section. Yes, yes, yes. You have the floor, ma, if you can hear and see me. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, OBK. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. How is it at your end? I'm in Abuja, and this morning is a kind of breezy, cool morning about to rain. And I was just relaxing, hoping that I will be the next speaker. But yeah, I'm high. Thank you for joining us. So today, he has introduced me, and I want to say thank you for that kind introduction, OBK. This morning, I want to talk about imposter syndrome, but I want to talk about it as an advantage to you, either you're a man or a woman. I'm a student of leadership. I'm a John Maxwell certified leadership coach. And I went to school some years, like 2 years now back, to do my second master's in leadership and strategic studies. And my focus was on behavioral leadership and gendering leadership and gendering emotion. I basically want to understand how our behaviors as a woman or a man plays when you are in a leadership position, and how it helps you to succeed and how it actually draws you back. And while I was doing my research, I wrote my thesis on an organization here in Abuja, and I took a 10-year study on that organization. I was studying the leaders of that organization for the past 10 years. I was studying their behavior as leaders, their behavioral leadership, and how it impacted them as a person, how it impacted the employees of that organization, and the output the organization was able to achieve during their tenure. So I'm big on behavior as a leader, behavior as a person. I'm a cognitive behavioral life coach, like he has introduced. I'm a design thinking, IBM design thinking practitioner. So I'm a strategist when it comes to leadership and behavior. And so today I want to talk about how imposter syndrome can be an advantage for us. I titled my talk, The Untold Advantage. So you pardon me, I'm not sharing my slide because I actually joined with my phone. Why, hoping that while the first speaker is going up, I will set up my laptop, and I was called upon. So, but if you follow, I try to make my things very simple. My friends call me the queen of simplicity. So we're going very simple in a way that even without slide, you can follow. So people define imposter syndrome as that feeling we get that makes us feel like we do not belong, we are not up to, we do not measure up. But before I go into deep dive into that definition, I want to throw up some statistics. Like I said, I'm a researcher. The International Journal of Behavioral Science says that 70 persons or 70 people will experience imposter syndrome at some point in their life. So that means that 7 out of every 10 persons you meet had either experienced imposter syndrome or will experience imposter syndrome. So if you look at our attendance right now, we are 14. If you split us into 2 groups, that means we are 7 per group, meaning that at least 6 out of that 7 or 5 out of that 7 have experienced the feeling of imposter syndrome at one point in their life, or they are experiencing it now, or they will experience it now. When imposter syndrome first came into the science realm, the people that brought it and thought of it was Clance and Imes. And when they did their research, they basically carried women into the room and just studied the behavior of women. And they came up and said women suffer from imposter syndrome. And for a very long time, everybody tend to believe that lack of confidence, Imposter syndrome issue were women issues. Self-esteem issues are women issues. But recent science has shown that imposter syndrome, lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth affects all gender, whether you are a man, you are a woman, if you claim to be a transgender, a cisgender, whatever gender you identify with, imposter syndrome affects you. It affects every one of us. And so what is this imposter syndrome that we talk about? It is a belief that we have that somehow, where we are now is by the grace of God. Where you are now is by the stars aligning in your favor. Where you are right now is about luck. Or maybe you did some trial and error. You were putting 5, 4, 6 together, and somehow the numbers clicked and you got your result. So you are not sure if they are to bring that kind of situation back to you, will you be able to do it on your own? That doubt stays somewhere inside of you. The American Psychological Association defines imposter syndrome as an ongoing fear that we have, that very soon they will find us out, that we are fake, that we are a fluke, and that we're not competent, we do not have capacity. So the fear of being found out usually trays us as we take our positions in life. So I work with leaders. I work with leaders of organizations, management staff. I host them in retreats, and I work with business owners. So if you are a leader, this is for you. And most times people will say, well, thank God, oh, I'm doing a 9-to-5 work. I have bosses. I'm not a leader. Well, I'm happy to disappoint you that everybody is a leader in one way or the other. You're either leading at home or at work or in your society, in church. Every one of us play dual roles. At one place, you are a leader. At another place, you are a follower. So this applies to all of us. So imposter syndrome, what really causes it? Why do we feel that we are not capable enough, or that we don't have what it takes to show up in these new positions that we find ourselves? One of the reasons research has shown is that it comes from expectation. And this expectation starts very early in our lives when we are young children. Growing up in our families, our parents had expectations of us, that this my daughter will be great, that this my son is going to be great. And sometimes our parents didn't know how to put forth their expectation. They became over demanding. If you came fourth in your class and you give your result to your father, he's going to say, the person that came first, does he have 2 head? Go and read better. Nobody approves that you've done something. Next term, you're going to struggle and come third. They say, the person that came second, is he better than you? The next time you're struggling, you came second. They say, the person that came first, is it better than you? And so you find yourself early in life in a race to catch up with the bar that has been set for you. And as soon as you get to the bar, your parents will raise it again. As soon as you get to the bar, your parents will raise it. And somewhere inside of you, something has registered that you can never measure up. And that thing just stayed there. You never really gave thoughts to it, but it is there. And as you begin to grow into adulthood, take position, start your company, show up in organizations, and you begin to go into management level, this thing begins to come up that, am I really capable of this position? And when you go into these rooms, you're doubting yourself. Most times we mask this doubt. We sit in the room and agree with everything everybody says, and we have no comments of our own. Sometimes we sit in that room and we just want to hide. And when they ask you, you say, they have said what I want to say. And you have good ideas for your business, and you go online and you see some people running with that ideas, and you say, wow, what can I do? Can I do it better than this person? Let me just leave it and try something else. They've done it already. So this is where that expectation show up as we grow older. And some of us work in a very, very high competitive area where we need to shun out a lot of, we need to put a lot out as executives, CEOs, management team members. The demand of your office can sometimes begin to make you feel like, am I sure I'm ready for this? Do I have what it takes to deliver on this? And this thing can begin to make you feel like a fake, somebody that people do not really know, but they just gave you that position. And we call it in behavioral science, developmental confidence. If while you were growing up, that was a big problem for you, it's going to show up now that you're an adult. For people that work in high intense performance environments, we call that kind of confidence the performance confidence. It simply means that you think you don't have what it takes to perform at that level, and you begin to fear. Another reason that science has shown that people have imposter syndrome is our personality trait. If I will actually go into the comment section and I will say, if you have ever taken a personality test, please say yes in the chat box. If you've never taken it, say no in the chat box. I want you to know what I want to say. So, OPK, please help me check the chat box. Let's see who is saying yes, who is saying no. If you've ever taken any personality assessment, say yes. If you've never taken it, say no. So as a Maxwell coach, I do the DISC personality assessment, but there are a lot out there, so many out there. But if you've never taken it, personality can also be the reason why you experience imposter syndrome. For some personality, especially the D-style personality people, they are high performers. So for them, it is either 110 or nothing. And so they will never cut themselves some slacks. They will always feel that they are not doing enough. And they always aim for perfectionism instead of excellence. And if you ask them to say, I'm an excellent person. If this thing is not going excellently well, no, that's not me. If my name must be on that document, it must be excellent. They tell themselves that that's what they are chasing. But actually, what they are chasing is that they want to be perfect. And the truth is, no human being can be perfect. We're not designed to function that way. And so you will see them work on a PowerPoint presentation for a meeting 10 times. Even up to a few hours to that meeting, they are still rejigging that password and that PowerPoint. They are still working on their document. Someone that is about to launch a product tomorrow morning, that person is still working on that product, trying to say, this is not well, this is not well, not because they want to be excellent, but because they want to be perfect. Their personality holds them back. If you are a high-style personality type, you are the type that believe that, see, I don't like to rock the boat. If this is how they do things, let us just be doing it like that. Let everybody be happy. But deep down inside of you, you know you have fantastic ideas, things that if you put on the table is going to change the narrative, is going to cause so many things to show up, but you will not talk because you don't want to rock the boat. And inside of you, you start feeling, am I really supposed to be here? Do I have what it takes to be here? Another thing that science has shown that causes both male and female to feel like an imposter in whatever position they occupy is what we call the explanatory style. It's a big word, but what it simply means is your thinking style. It depends on how you think. If you are a pessimistic thinker, if you have a pessimistic explanatory style, it means that the way you explain your success as a person, that's what explanatory style means, or thinking style is. The way you think about yourself and your success, the way you explain yourself and your success. So for people that are pessimistic, they explain their success as something that happens outside of them. It's coming from somewhere. It's coming from God. It's the grace of God. It's coming from the universe aligning with me at that time, which is luck. It's coming from, I didn't know what I did. I just did try and error and it just clicked. So if you think like that, if that is how your explanatory style is, you are going to always explain where you are as a stroke of luck. You are not going to see that it is something that you have done. And the truth is, success is a repeatable process. It is a process based on principles and process. If you know the principles, you can repeat it anytime, any day. But if as a person you think that your success is outside of you, that means you were not part of that process. You do not understand the principles that brought you there. Then you cannot repeat it. Imposter syndrome will be your friend, and not your friend anyway, your enemy, because it will plague you at every point in your life, especially when you are at a big break. So those people that have that pessimistic thinking style, they say this task was easy. That's why I got it. They gave me something easy. The team I worked with were very hardworking team, so that's why it happened. Or it just happened because the universe at this time conspired to favor me. or the grace of God. I was in church yesterday and my pastor prayed for me and asked that favor followed us. So favor just gave it to me. And so because for this set of people, they are saying to themselves that I'm not smart enough. I cannot do just anything right. And I do not actually know what I did that gave me this success, but I'm grateful to God that I'm successful. So if you take them and put them in the boardroom, imposter syndrome is going to disturb them. Another set of people is the optimistic thinking style. They have an explanatory style that says that when I succeed, it's because I worked hard and I think smart and I followed certain principles. And they believe that this success they have achieved is permanent. It happened because they did something right. And if they can repeat that same process, that same principle in another situation, they are going to be successful. And they believe that it will affect everything they do. It is not external. It came from inside. And so even when they feel imposter syndrome, they know that, yes, I'm feeling afraid right now, but I know that if I can get the principle behind this, I can do it. So, like I said, I'm not talking about imposter syndrome today in terms of something we need to overcome, because most times I hear people say, how can I overcome my fear of public speaking? How can I overcome my fear of leadership? How can I overcome? We all think of these feelings, these emotions as something that we can go inside, yank it off and just throw it away. But my friend, I am happy again to disappoint you, but I'm very happy to do it. You are not going to overcome imposter syndrome. What you're going to do is you're going to understand it, you're going to befriend it, and you're going to manage your friends. Just the way you manage those family members in your family that they can get on your nerve, but you have known them now and you know where to put them and how to manage them. Just the way you have that friend that thinks that she owns your life and wants to dictate to you, and you've been able to place that friend where that friend belongs, and you are managing that friend. That's the same way you want to make imposter syndrome your friend. You want to understand her strength, her weakness, his strength, his weakness, and be able to relate and have a relationship with that friend. That's what I'm bringing to you today. Imposter syndrome as an advantage. Like I said at the beginning, I am into research. I'm a research student and I'm researching behavioral leadership, gendering emotions. And one of the things that science has shown us about imposter syndrome is that it is an advantage. And I'll tell you why. For anybody to do anything meaningful, you must experience some levels of fear and some levels of courage. So if you ask my coach, Sam Obafemi, the octopus right now, he would tell you that when he was venturing out, he had a high dose of fear, but he also had a very high dose of belief that I am good at this thing, I can make something out of it. And so he carried those two things and just married them together and used them to his advantage. And that's what imposter syndrome is. Imposter syndrome is that self-doubt that we have about our abilities, our capabilities, our success, and our ability to create it again. Why we have self-belief that, Kai, come on, girl, you're intelligent, you're smart, you're a team player, you can do this. So we have these two things. Sometimes one is never at an equilibrium. You cannot say it's 50-50. Sometimes this one is higher, sometimes this is higher. But most times when you experience imposter syndrome, the self-doubt is actually higher. So what I want to teach you today is how to hold the self-doubt as your friend and leverage on that feeling to be courageous and to go ahead with what you want to do as a leader in your field. And so I will talk about, why do we have fear? Why do we doubt? Why are we not just running on a smooth, high road? And the reason is because if we do not have fear, there will be nothing to prompt us to be cautious. If you want to put that into imagination, just look at your highways, your streets. Imagine if there were no traffic lights, nothing to warn you that a car is coming or there's a breakdown car in front of you. Everybody just leave their house, jump into their car and just zoom, and they zoom off. There'll be commotion, pandemonium, every kind of things on the way. So our emotions are there for us like street lights to just caution us. And so when you feel imposter syndrome, it is saying something to you. It is saying, hey girl, this is a new terrain. You've never been here before. Are you sure you want to go in there? It's saying to you as an entrepreneur, this is a new idea. This is a new service you're churning out. This is a new product you're churning out. Are you sure you want to do it? Are you sure people want it? Are you sure you can compete favorably with the other products in the market? So it's just a question. Just like somebody will say, hey, Faith, where are you going today? And I will say, I'm going to Wuse Market. It's just a question. Imposter syndrome is just a question. If you provide the right answer to it, it's going to let you move on. And so you need to be able to say, yes, it's a new terrain, but I've worked in similar terrains before. I remember when I was newly promoted into management position. So I want to talk about me at this point. Why did I actually choose to go into this behavioral leadership, gendering leadership, and gendering emotion? When I first became a management staff, my first meeting, it was as if I was in a cold room where they keep chicken, turkeys, and all that. I was the only lead lady in that boardroom. And I just felt like I was out of my comfort zone. And they came into the room, high-fiving themselves. They sat down and the conversation began. And when I said, can I say something? They said, go on, madam. And when I'm done talking, they say, okay, we've heard you, will come to that. And they just move on. And nobody ever actually come to me. When I see the minutes of meeting, my thoughts are not captured in the minutes of meeting. By the time I went into the second room, the second meeting, I started fidgeting. Imposter syndrome started coming. Babe, are you sure you're supposed to be here? Are you sure they didn't make a mistake making you to be part of this board, part of this management thing? And I now notice that when I say things, they just gloss over it. And some few minutes after, a man in the room, we rephrase my thoughts and present it. And they will applaud him and say, please note it down. This thing that Mr. Joshua said is awesome. Then I knew that I have to do something. I can't keep feeling like a fraud in the room. I can't keep feeling like a fluke, like someone who is not capable. And that's where I started seeking for help. And it has brought me to this place where it is a research subject for me right now. And one of the things that I learned is that a question is a question, and most times there is no right and wrong answer. And it's okay not to know. So when the imposter syndrome comes and say, Faith, are you sure you're supposed to be in this room? My answer is, well, I'm not sure. I do not know. But I'm here now, and I'm going to make the best of being here. That is the first answer I give to imposter syndrome. The second answer is, if they put me here, that means they've seen something inside of me. They brought me here because I have something to offer. They brought me because of what I've done and not what I haven't done. So I'm going to focus on what I have done, what I am good at doing, and not what I do not know how to do or what I'm trying to learn to do. I answer that question, and it gives me some form of ease as I sit in the room. The second thing I learned when I started understanding gendering leadership is language, the language of gender in leadership. So there's a video that was trending some time ago. I actually put it on my laptop to play it. It's from a woman that was elected, I think in Tanzania, into position. If you've seen that video, I want you to say yes in the chat box. She said she was giving her remark when she was elected, and she said that, be like me, be a bad girl. If you are a bad girl like me, you will get a position. You will get the corner office. Do not be like a good girl. Emulate me, the bad girl. Did you see that video? Did anybody see that video? Am I alone? Did anybody see that video? It was really trending on social media. So when people become leaders as women, we tend to assume that those gender qualities of the men is what we need to put on for us to be able to beat imposter syndrome, not feel like a fake in the room. And so we begin to talk. I will send the video out. The video is what's that woman's name? she was elected recently into parliament, and she just put it out there, and she was just talking about a lot of things, how you need to show up in the room, that you have to be hard, you have to assume, put on that masculine leadership. And so that's how she was beating imposter syndrome, that in this room that I've come, you people are not going to make me feel like a fraud. I am going to enter this room, and I'm going to be doing what you're doing. And so she entered that room like that. And most times when we enter that room like that, instead of achieving what we want to achieve, the men begin to call us bossy, arrogant. They begin to think that we are trying to boss over them because you're putting on a behavior, a leadership behavior that does not suit you as a person, your personality, your explanatory style, and your expectation over the years. And there is a video that came out, I think 2 days ago, of Kamala Harris when she was her first presidential campaign. And I want you, if you've not watched that video, to go and watch that video. If you're a woman in leadership, go and watch that video. When Donald Trump spoke, he actually tried to talk her down. And when she spoke, she did not toe his line. She did not exhibit that gendering leadership, the masculine gendering leadership. She stayed in her forte. She stayed in her comfort zone as a woman. And she refuted him, but in a very, very commanding way. She came, and after she was done thanking everybody, she said, before she came to this position as VPE of the United States, serving under Biden, she had worked as an attorney, she had worked as a lawyer, she had worked, and her job entails going after people who try to dehumanize other people, who try to put people down, who corporate companies that were stealing, individuals that were raping women and abusing women, they were violent towards women, and that she has seen a lot of the time. And in 3 counts, she had presided over a case when Trump was accused of violence against women and he was found guilty. She had sat in meeting rooms in court where corporations were being tried that were cheating the common people, and his corporation, 3 of his corporations were found guilty. And so she knows his type, and she knows how to deal with people his type. You see, she stayed in understanding her gender and how it will help her. She was able to beat that imposter syndrome. And in 2-3 days, she broke a record in the United States that has never been. She has raised the highest fund a single individual had raised in grassroots, because she understands that I am not a fake. I might not have the strength that other people have, but I do have some capacity. I do have some strength. And that is what has brought me here. They didn't bring me here to come and do what I'm not able to do. They brought me here based on the success I've recorded in the past. And because I was able, the one that did them, I can repeat it. So to beat imposter syndrome, what I'm suggesting to us today is, 1, manage expectations. The expectations you have had as a child growing up, this is the time to address it and actually qualify it in the right way. Your parents didn't know better. They didn't know, they thought they were raising the bar. They didn't know they were discounting and discrediting your efforts. That is their bad. It's not on you. 2, you have to also manage your own expectation. Wherever you find yourself, you are not going there to be the best. You can't be the best in the world. Whatever you know, whatever you do, there will be someone who knows better than you, who does it better than you. So you are not going out there to be the best. You are going out there to be your best. So it is you versus you, and not you versus them. So manage that expectation. In that way, imposter syndrome will become your friend. It will always question you to see whether you are in line with your expectation. It will say, Faith, what are you doing? Are you sure you can do this? You say, yes. I can do it because I've done it before. I can do it because I know what I did before, and I'm just going to go out there and do what I know how to do best. So I'm doing my best. I am not doing their best. So manage expectation. The second thing you want to do is your explanatory style. You want to shift from being a pessimistic explanatory talker or speaker to being an optimistic explanatory speaker or a thinker. So what that means is that you want to realize that wherever you find yourself, it is not luck. You did put in the work. Yes, God's blessings added the jara, the icing on the cake for you, but you did put in the work. And you know what to do every time to put in the work. And for every assignment you face and every new phase of your life, you are willing to put in that work and repeat the process again. So you need to begin to watch how you explain your success, how you explain your failure. So when you fail, it is not you that have failed. It's because you didn't do something right. And because it is something that you are doing, you can repeat it again. You can undo it. You can find what you did not put and put it in, or you can find what you put in that shouldn't be in and take it out. So you need to be able to own your explanatory style. The third thing I'm proposing for us today is to understand your personality. I used to be a C-style personality. The C-style people are very cautious people. They are very analytical. They are not willing to leave their comfort zone or take a step until they can see the end of the road, until they can understand that this thing I want to do will lead to success. And so therefore, most times they have very good ideas, fantastic ideas. And they go into the boardroom, they actually hear people talking in meetings. They see product online and they know that I can do a product that is better, that can serve better. I see this product does this, but it's leaving this gap. And my own, I can bring out something. But they keep telling themselves, am I sure people will go for this? Am I sure people will leave this known brand and pick me that do not know these things? Am I sure? Am I sure? And in the process, they'll keep analyzing, gathering data. And at the end of the day, the whole thing will be overtaken by event and they will not do anything year in, year out. I used to be in that personality style. But as I embarked on this journey, I discovered that personality is not fixed. It can change. So if you understand your personality, who you are right now, you can begin to play to that strength. And so, yes, when I want to do something, I don't just dive in. I will still do some analysis. That's who I am. But I don't allow the drawback. I say to myself, Faith, do am. If you fail, you will learn something. If you get them, you will learn something. It's a win-win for you. It's learning for you. To the people that are not Nigerians in the room, please, apology. What I mean by if you fail, if you don't get it, you will learn. If you do get it, you will still learn. It's a win-win for you. And the moment I began to understand that part of my personality, I began to use it very well. So the more I used it very well, the more imposter syndrome became my friend, my ally. And it became an advantage for me. So every time I'm feeling that thing coming now, that you are a fake, I'll just laugh and say, I know that you can think that I'm a fake, but I know what I'm doing because I have done 1, 2, 3 before. And I'm going to stay with what I know and I can do best. And I'm going to go out there and do it best. Immediately is beside me as a friend. So I'm having conversation with that imposter syndrome in my mind. Is asking me questions and providing answers. Is asking me questions and providing answers. And before you know, I come out of that place very fantastic. And I say, hi, friend, thank you for helping me out today. So it is an advantage. It's not something you want to yank off and throw. It's something you want to use as an advantage. So I've talked about 3 things that you need to do to understand your thinking side, your explanatory style. You want to understand your personality. You want to manage expectation. Expectation is big. I can't say it enough. A lot of us have unrealistic expectation of ourselves. You will start a small business and you will say, this year I want to make 5 million. And in all your entire life, you have never made 2 million outside of salary, or even 200,000 outside of salary, outside of your salary. How are you going to create that 5 million? Like I said, success is repeatable. If you know the principles, you can apply it and repeat it again. So I want to say, don't raise the bar too high for yourself. It's good to think big, dream big, and aim high, but don't set yourself up for failure. So if you've never earned 2,000 naira as a 200,000 as a coach, you want to start and say this month or in the next 2 months, I want to make 100,000. And see if in the next 2 months you can make it. If you can make it, Document the processes. What did you do to make it? Next month, you can raise the bar to 200,000 and say, I'm repeating this process again. And in the process of repeating it, you can refine it. And you continue to raise the bar as you go. That way, you are managing expectation. You are not doing what they did to you, where they raise the bar so high and it seems as if the goalpost is always shifting. No, you want to manage expectation. You want to manage your explanatory style. You want to understand your personality and play to the strength. You want to know what you can do and do it well. And lastly, I want to say to every one of us that wherever we are is as a result of what we have done, and we have done well. So nobody gave you an employment letter because they think you can do. They gave you that letter because of what you have shown. So concentrate on what you can do and do it better and do it well. And understand that emotions are here with you for life till you meet your maker. You cannot yank them off. You can only understand them, befriend them, and use them well. Imposter syndrome is an advantage. It is not a disadvantage. So stop trying to run away from it. Try to understand it. Try to befriend it. Try to use it as your superpower. So when I go into that room and I'm feeling jittery, I just begin to take notes of the questions that are playing in my head, and I begin to fill in the answers. And before I know, it is my superpower. So before the conversation gets there, I'm already there. So thank you, everyone, for listening to me. Imposter syndrome is your superpower. Use it.
Wow.
So thank you, everyone.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a session. What a session. I'm looking at the comment section. What do we tell her? Go ahead. Express your feedback. Go ahead. What a perspective. Wow. 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 Come on. Let's get it done. Wow. Wonderful. 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 Awesome. Wow. The emojis are pouring in the comment section for you, man. Oh, imposter syndrome is a superpower, a powerful perspective. You know, I like the way the analogy you use for the road, more like an imposter syndrome being the speed bump, you know, and letting us know as much as this dream is powerful, I can do it, but somehow it serves as a guardrail to say, I'm still human. I should accept it, but I'm not going to work with it. Yes, you are there, imposter syndrome. I'm not going to work with it. I would like you to touch on something you said earlier, um, the balance between making sure that the way we handle imposter syndrome growing up doesn't filter into the way we are raising our children. I don't know if there's a way you can help us strike that balance. Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you. So my own father died, passed on when I was in GS3. So I really didn't get to live with them as I grew, older into my teenage years. But I did live with my uncles. And I thought I was a brilliant girl, but I was never taken first or second, maybe third, fourth, fifth. And every time I come with my report card, it's like, so what happened to first? You cannot take first. And they just trash it away. And it makes me feel like I'm not good enough. I wasn't doing quite enough. And I kept aiming high. I was moving like that, but it was never enough. And I in my work as a researcher and as a coach, I've worked with really very, very high CEOs. And I see that some of them also came from that background. And so they are forever shooting for the top. And they are never going to get to that top because the bar keep moving on. And so some of us have carried that mentality. We have married, we now have children. Your child comes home, he came in fifth. And instead of you to actually look at what the child did to come in fifth and applaud those strengths and can actually point out areas of improvement, we go and say, the person that carried first, does he have two edge? Is he not a boy or a girl like you? So as a parent, I have decided that I will never do that. So my kids, I have a daughter that is in her first year, starting her first year in university next month. I have a daughter that is turning 15 next month, and my last child just turned 11. I have never said, what is your position in class? I don't even look at it. When they bring their report card to me, I look at their subjects, mathematics. Okay, you did 80. Can I see your answer script? And I want to see the questions he failed or she failed. And I'm looking at that question centered around some comments, some concept in class. And that means you didn't understand this concept. If you do, you would have passed it the way you passed the others. So as they are resuming for the first year, I write a letter to the teacher and say, my child, in her results last year, I noticed she failed 10 questions in algebra, and that means she does not understand the basic concept of how to solve algebraic question. As she's starting this new term, I know you will build on what they did last time. Can you please do a refresher course for the class so that the child can pick the foundation again? Then if I need to get a lesson teacher to work on that foundation of algebra, I will. I've never been one for lesson teachers anyway, but if I do need it for a time, I will get it for that time to come and address that issue and go. So that's what I have done, and it has worked for me. So it's not about being first or second. It's about understanding the concept you are learning. It's about playing to that your strength. It's about answering questions that you know. And sometimes exam is not a good reflector of our strengths. Harvard University did that research, and they showed that when some students were under pressure, they could not think well and they could not perform to their ability. But when there was no pressure around them and they felt like they were in a fun environment, they did very well. So the people that were in under pressured environment that scored very low, when they were put in a fun environment, they scored very well. So as a parent, you need to understand that don't raise the bar too high for your children. Hold them to play to their strengths, to the fullest of their strengths, and not just to A, B, and C. So that's, for me, that's the way I've been able to manage the expectation. So I have an expectation for my child that you are good at this. Be good in it as you do it. Not that you must come in with an A or B. But the truth of the matter is, if they play to their strengths, they will have very good grades.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. What an interesting perspective. Okay, I'm reading the comment section, and John Benjamin says, "What is imposter syndrome in the first place?" I think you did justice to that. You explained imposter syndrome at the beginning of the session.
I think he came in late. He came in late.
Yes, John. I will advise that you watch the replay. This is on YouTube, so the replay link will still be on YouTube. We will share that so that you can watch again and find out how she explained it, imposter syndrome. Yena says, amazing session, amazing insight, Coach Faith. You have no idea what this talk has done to me. A change has begun in my mindset for every aspect of my life. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, and then Kazan Chiang Dennis says, thank you, Coach Faith. I'm hearing about imposter syndrome for the first time. Wonderful. God bless you. Wonderful session. I can see any question. If you have any that she hasn't touched on, please, you have just 30 seconds to do that. The transformer says, so beautifully delivered, truly the queen of simplicity, valued, unlimited. Thank you very much. I can also see others applauding your effort. Thank you so much, Ma. This session had been a mind-changing one. You know, it has shifted our perspective. We were seeing imposter syndrome from the negative part as something I shouldn't use. But you have shifted our perspective to like, this is actually your partner. You can work with it and it can help you be that like a fuel, take you to the next level. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session. Thank you. All right, we will be moving to the next session, but just before we do that, I would like us to do something quickly. Our next speaker is already waiting. What's going to be a very fantastic session. So, what is that one thing that you'll be taking out from the last session? Just one word to describe it. What is that thing that you are going to be doing? Like that one thing you are holding on to from her session. You can go ahead and use the chat for that while I quickly read the profile of our next speaker. Such a prolific individual. Such a prolific individual. Okay. Go ahead. Yes. So our next speaker is a very powerful individual, and okay, I'm getting his session, his profile. Yes, Shito Ola is a resourceful, confident. Shito Ola is a resourceful and confident strategist and solution provider. He is a life coach and behavioral expert. He is a member of the Life Coaches Association of Nigeria. He is a trained mindfulness practitioner, an emotional intelligence and anger management expert, and a mental health first aider. He provides strategic guidance to teams, professionals, and individuals to bridge the gap between their current reality and their aspiration, enabling them to unlock their inner resources and create a clear path towards their dream using practical tools. He has trained in diverse group of people, from young to seasoned professionals, to enhance their productivity and balance their well-being. He values team growth. He has this pain chart for unique interdependencies, helping members of the team boost their strength and manage their weaknesses to achieve a collective goal. He helps teams implement strategies and processes that improve work cohesion and workflow while managing individual differences among team members. He is an IT expert, a Cisco certified network professional, amazing, a professional enterprise core, a Fortinet certified network security professional, and an information technology infrastructure library certified expert. He has worked with various organizations and professionals in the public and private sector. I'm going to use the word intimidating. What a wonderful profile. So if you are here and you are ready to listen to Coach Shitu, please let's make him welcome. Let him feel welcome. Go ahead, use that emoji, give him a clap, give him a shout. Let him know that we are ready for his session and looking forward to his thoughts. You're welcome, sir. If you can hear me, sir, please unmute yourself, show us a video. You can begin your session, sir. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, OBK. I'd just like to confirm if you can hear me loud and clear. Hello, OBK, can you hear me loud and clear, please?
I can hear you, although it looks like there's a glitch here and there, but I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Like OBK said, my name is Shito Ola, and I'm a son, a spouse, a brother, and a father before any other thing else. Before being a life coach, being a trauma-informed coach, being an IT specialist, being any other thing. I think I regard my role as being a son, a spouse, a father, and a brother more important than any other thing, any other title that I could get. Okay, and it was very, very lovely session from Coach Inia Faith, and it really makes sense that she even started before my own session, because we'll be talking about relational intelligence. We'll be talking about relational intelligence. Like Obike mentioned, I'm a behavioral coach. I love the fact that I understand that there is always a behavioral pattern in everything we do. There is always a behavior associated to the success and the failures we encounter. There is always a behavior attributed to the way and how, the way, the manner, and the thoughts around the way we respond to things and how we react to everything that life has made happen to us. So just to be sure that I'm not speaking to myself, please, if you can hear me, just type 1 in the chat room. If you can hear me loud and clear, just type 1 in the chat room so that we can quickly dive into this. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so today we'll be discussing relational intelligence. And as much as possible, I would love this to be interactive, please. I really don't like speaking with myself or to myself alone. I would love this to be interactive. And because of what we want to discuss, which is relational intelligence, it's about people. And we as people, we know that we cannot exist in isolation. And if I could borrow the concept of faith, when God created Adam, he had to create someone with him because Adam was all alone. So then Eve was created. Then after that, they procreated and the world kept expanding to what it is today. So what it also boils down for us is, as human beings, we cannot exist in isolation. We cannot exist in a silo. We can't claim to do anything all by ourselves. As business owners, we can't claim to own businesses that would not serve anyone. What it means is we are creating business to solve problems for people. As employees or employers, we would not go to a workplace that when there's nothing needed of us there. So we'd only get a job where we are going there to help them solve a particular problem, to solve a larger problem. So what it means is, as humans, no matter how high ranking or low ranking we rate ourselves, we are all interdependent. If anyone falls ill here and he's a doctor, he still has to go and see another doctor to help him with that. I hope it's making sense. Even a doctor needs another doctor for his own diagnosis. So what it means is, even when you're at the peak of your own lane, you might still need the influence of other people on that same particular lane to help you get some other things done. So we'll be discussing relational intelligence. How do we interact with ourselves? How do we come together as human beings? I believe you must have heard this quote before, that the value of, or the words, the quality of your relationship determines the quality of your life. Let me say that again. The quality of your relationship determines the quality of your life. So I want to start by asking a question, and I would like us to use the chat box to answer this. I would like us to use the chat box to answer this. In any setting that you found yourself, have you made a mistake that you believe was as a result of another person's fault? Have you made a mistake that you pass the fault to another person, that, oh, this is the reason why I made this mistake? Have you made a mistake that you pass the fault to someone else and say, oh, this is the person that caused me to make this mistake? Okay. Yina said yes. Okay, let me see if I can get like 2 other responses, then we move. So the question is, have you made a mistake that you believe or you acknowledge to yourself that it was due to someone else's fault that you made that mistake? Okay. Okay, then he said yes as well. Okay, so now the inverse of the question would be this: have you made a mistake that you decide to, have you been in a team where a mistake, or let me say a deliverable, was not achieved? The team could be family, it could be work, that a deliverable was not achieved, but you decide to take the blame upon yourself as being the one to bear the whole weight of the blame. taking the blame, like, okay, I'll take the blame. Let's get out to sort this. Have you been in that situation where there was an issue, but you decide to take the blame upon yourself? Okay, yeah, I guess there's many times. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So remember, we're talking about relational intelligence. And what relational intelligence talks about is simple as how we engage with other people in building trust, how we engage with other people in managing our relationship, how we engage with other people in trying to have a synergy around the relationship we have. You know, relationship comes, everything in life is relationship. Everything in life is relationship. Whether it's your spouse, it's a relationship. We call it love or intimate relationship. Whether it's business, it's a relationship too. It's an economical relationship. Whether it's friendship, it's a relationship in itself. It's called, for me, I think it's a leverage relationship where, you know, you have this person have your back, this person have your back around this area and things like that. So anything you can think of is all around relationship. So an issue or a mistake that you made to someone else, if your answer is yes to that, I'm not saying you are right or you're wrong. What it means is at that point in time, you see every reason why you should pass the blame to someone else rather than owning the blame, even though the action was yours. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just trying to interpret. So what it means is at that point in time, you've decided to pass the buck or the result of your action to someone else based on whatever thing that happened beforehand. And in the latter case where I said, if you've taken the blame of a team, so what it could be interpreted to is that you've decided to own the whole struggles of the team and shoulder the weight of the team, even though the fault was not solitary yours. So in both cases, we are displaying a level of relational intelligence. In both scenarios, we are showing people how to own or how we own up to things or how we don't want to own up to some certain things at that point in time. So what it means is at every interval, in every stage of our life, we decide how to own, how to manage, or how to build relationship based on our initial filters. Based on our initial filters. So today we're just going to be talking around three things for relational intelligence. We're talking around ourselves, we'll be talking around other people, then we'll be talking around our community. Those are the three key areas or three thematic areas we want to talk with relational intelligence. And you may ask me, how is relational intelligence different from emotional intelligence? You know, in the definition of emotional intelligence, it has to deal with how you understand your own emotions first and how you see those emotions in other people and how you interpret them to ensure that you have a better relationship. The end result of emotional intelligence is performance. But for relational intelligence is understanding that emotional part of it and using it to foster a better relationship with people. So you understand the emotional part of it and you use that information with other information to foster a better relationship. Okay, so now I want to ask another question. Have you ever been hurt emotionally in your office or in a business transaction? Have you ever been hurt emotionally within your office space or within a business transaction? Have you ever been hurt within your office space emotionally now? Okay, John says yes. Okay, let me see if I have two more answers, then we could move. Okay, then he says yes as well. I don't know. Dennis, would you mind sharing with us what happened? If it's okay by you, would you mind sharing with us what happened? What happened? What led to that situation? Like I said, I love sessions to be very, very interactive, so that when we move together, we'll be able to get some other in depth with it. I don't know if Dennis wouldn't mind sharing with us. Let's just rub minds around this thing.
Okay, good morning.
Or if John wouldn't mind sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you for
good morning.
So I one of the experience is I was part of a managerial board, and just as an officer, almost the same story Coach Faith shared, but this one I was the youngest and the least in position in that very board. And I brought a very profound idea So the managers, to my feeling, felt, this person is just a small person and is bringing this kind of, ideas. What have we been doing? Could you believe they refuse executing the idea I gave? And then later on, when the thing backfired, it was put back to my office that I didn't do this and this and this and this and this. And I tried to remind them when I raised the alarm, they refused to hit. So I was hurt emotionally and I felt betrayed and all of that.
Thank you very much for sharing that insight with us. And, so from what you said, let me use the word. You use the word "to my feelings," right? Like you're the youngest and you brought a very profound idea. Like I just tried to borrow that word, "to my feelings." The way you felt about it, they probably felt intimidated. Like, how this young child bring all this on board, and have we been sleeping on it all this while? So now the point is this: in as much as now they now brought the whole problem when it backfired back to your table. In relational intelligence, what that means is, at that point in time, what they want to do was put the whole burden of the relationship back onto you. But it is not with them how you respond or react to it. So you could have decided to be magnanimous and even give them another solution to the problem to make them see that even when it now becomes another problem, you still have the capacity of solving it. And as well, we could go ahead and throw banters like, why should you now push the blame to me when I've already told you that before? So why I ask this question is this: in this age and time, I think we are all, if I could use this word in quote, we are all polygamous in the sense that we could be married to the same person multiple times. I don't know if you understand that. You could be married to the same person multiple times. Gone were the days where where someone will start a career in one office and end the whole of their career in that office, and they will retire there. Probably when they tell them, okay, sir, you're now aged, so you can retire and things like that. But now, if I'm not mistaken, I could say that half of the people on this call has more than one occupation they are into as we speak. So what it means is, even economically, we're being polygamous with our earnings. And at the same time, this also filters into the way we handle our relationship. Because if I could use, let's say some 30, 40 years ago, let's say some 40 years ago, I wasn't born 40 years ago, but based on history or based on the things my own grandfather and my grandmother has told me, you realize the fact that what the word commitment means is slightly different from the way we use commitment nowadays, both in the economic terms and within the relational terms with people, right? So relational intelligence boils down to how we as individuals decide to manage relationships within various stratas of our life, be it within our leisure, our businesses, even with our health. How we manage all this relationship at different stratas of our life, and how it also affects us as individuals in living an wholesome life. So the reason why I asked the question about if you've been hurt in a business transaction or in an emotional or in your office emotionally is this: long before now, the office is seen as a place of get the job done, no emotions attached. But nowadays, we all realize the fact that soft skills are more incorporated into the office space than ever before. We now talk more about communication. We now talk about toxicity within the workspace. We now talk about healthy workspace. We now talk about mental health within the workspace, right? All these are influx of relational intelligence into our workspace. At a point, some of these things we are seen as being feminine, in quotes, please, feminine. And you would say you don't need to know how to do some of these things. But now we realize that we are all emotional beings, and our emotion plays a big significant role in our life, and that influences the way we work as well. So looking at relational intelligence, what it could mean is this: for every time you've had a hurting relationship with someone, for every time you've had something you categorize as a bad experience, for every time you have something you say it's a joyous moment, for every time you've had something that made you feel elated, It all boils down to how you interpret that event within the context of the relationship you're engaging and what you decided to take out of it. Because we are all meaning-making machines. And relational intelligence now boils down to how we as individuals want to take charge of these things and work with them. So I'll be asking a lot of questions just for us to spoil our mind and get things together. So as individuals, now let's go into the self angle of relational intelligence. As individuals, what was the way you grew up to react to success? As individuals, please, I'd like us to use the chat room as much as possible. As individuals, how do you react to your own success? I don't know if that question, let me see if I could rephrase it. How do you express yourself when you're successful around anything? How do you express yourself when you're successful around anything? Because don't forget, the very first part of relationship starts with our own self. And that's why, in emotional intelligence, we say understanding your own emotions. And the same thing with relationship. Just like Coach Faith said, when you talk about the imposter syndrome, it starts with you. It is you doubting your own self. Like, can I do this? Do I have the ability to accomplish this task? So now, within your own success, now you've done something, it is successful. How do you express that with yourself? Example, let's say you just won $1 million contract. How do you express that with yourself? How do you react with yourself, with your own self now with that? Like $1 million contracts in the bag, in dollars, not even in naira. $1 million contract in the bag. How do you react with yourself? How do you express that with your own self? Not telling your spouse, not the way you tell it to your spouse, not the way you tell it to your children, not the way you tell it to your colleague, but to yourself. How do you express that with yourself? Please, I would like to have an answer in the chat box, please. Or is anyone willing to speak? Just raise your hand and unmute yourself. Let's have an interaction, please. How do you express your success with yourself? Hope everyone can hear me clearly and I'm not talking to myself. Or am I asking a strange question? Or have we never thought around the fact that we express things with ourselves first before we express it to others? Okay, so the question is, how do you express success with your own self? The moment you become successful around anything you're doing, how do you interact with yourself about that success?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, go on. We can hear you.
For me, when I'm successful, I celebrate.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. When I'm successful in an activity, I celebrate it. I have a journal where I write it. And I also share on my social media platforms, how I was able to achieve it, to encourage other people to know that they can also be successful in the things that they do. So I help other people become successful. I show them the ways to become successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So now let me pick out the things you said. The very first part was you write it down in your own journal. That's you sitting down and telling yourself, I've been able to achieve this and I did this to get this done. And it's beautiful, right? Then you not go ahead and share it with other people like, oh, guys, look at this. I've been able to do this, and share it and get it done. So I believe you could also get anything you put your mind into and you get it done as well. So what this is, so now let me break that into two parts. One part is the way you share it with other people, which is you putting it on your story. That's you appreciating yourself internally, yes. But the part that it was just you and yourself was the part you journal. Whereby you journal like, oh, I've been able to do this and this is beautiful for me. So the reason why I talked about relationship with our own self, just like the previous session talked about imposter syndrome, how we need to harness that power and question it, is the fact that the way we build, oh yeah, sorry, I missed that part. I celebrate my success, yes. So celebration could be a lot of things, but you celebrate your success with yourself. Beautiful. Thank you very much. So what I'm trying to drive at is at the innate level, the way you interact with yourself is the way you present yourself to other people to interact with you, right? The way you interact with yourself is the way you love other people to interact with you. The way you show love to yourself is sometimes the way you love other people to show love to you. The way you want to be loved is communicated to other people. That's probably why they talk about the love languages and things like that. So your own relationship with your own self is always a key factor in determining how you want other people to relate with you. So now let me ask another general question. Do you consider yourself a conservative or a liberal? Do you consider yourself a conservative or a liberal? Probably around traditions, around religion. Okay, John said, for me, when I achieve some level of success, I thank God first and I tell myself we can do more. In other words, it gives higher level of confidence. Thank you very much, Sean. Okay, both. Thank you. Thank you. So the question that I'm asking now is, what do you regard yourself as a conservative or as a liberal person? And the reason why I'm asking this is what I've said earlier. The way we interact with ourselves is the same way we give permission to other people to interact with us. Because at every point within our own self, our values always tend to play out in everything we do. So whether you're liberal or whether you're conservative, let me use religion as an example. I am a Muslim and my faith is quite conservative around its key pillars, very conservative around its key pillars. And okay, I'm conservative and liberal depending on the situation. Okay, so let me use faith as an example. You believe in God, you believe in God. If someone tells you the God you believe in is not the God, then you become conservative about that because it's a belief you've owned for a long time and probably to require more effort for you to get convinced about it. So you'll be conservative around that and say, oh, this is a stronghold for me, this is a stronghold for me, this is a stronghold for me, and I don't joke with any of these things. Well, you could be liberal about the policies in which the government is trying to adopt when it comes to probably naira-dollar ratio. Probably there's really nothing most of us can do about it. But the moment it happens, you could be liberal about using between a solar-powered house or a generator-powered house or a fossil fuel-powered house, depending on what you want, right? But at any point in time, these decisions you're making is a reflection of your own self-identity. And it's also a reflection of how you relate with your own self. So I was given the example of religion the other time. So within religions, we know, oh, these are the rites you do within religion. Oh, it's Christmas, you celebrate Christmas. It's Eid, you celebrate Eid. It's time to fast, you fast. It's time to go to probably church on Sundays or mosque every day for Muslim. You go to those things and get those things done. Because those are principles that have been urged. But when it comes to the day-to-day dealings of life, you could go ahead and be liberal with a lot of other things. And these are the kind of things we all within ourselves. And these are part of the things that from the crux of who we are to ourselves. You know, if I should ask any of us to describe ourselves without probably mentioning our position, our office, we tend to describe ourselves based on the values we hold for ourselves. Someone will come and tell us, oh, I believe I'm a kind person, I'm diligent, I do my work well, telling us their own personal attributes and the way they see themselves, and that's the way they relate to themselves. You know, if you get late for an event, the way you feel about it tells about how you relate with time. If you get late for an event, probably you're meant to be at a seminar for 10 and you got there at 10:25. The way you feel about it determines the way you relate with your personal time. And this is also part of relational intelligence, because what you don't hold as a person with high esteem, there is every tendency you don't give it to another person. So understanding the way you relate with yourself first goes a long way in understanding how other people tend to deal with you. So that's why the self part of relational intelligence is very, very key. So if I should ask us today, what is our relationship to time? So time now could be 24 hours, it could be your age, it could be the time you spend with your kids. In relation, let me try to narrow that. In relationship to the way we spend time with ourselves, or the way we associate time with the things we do, what is our personal relationship to that, right? So that way we should understand how we relate to time as individual. If anyone has been known for lateness, when the person gives you a time, you're like, okay, yeah, I'll be there. But you know that if you hold your own time on a high esteem, you don't give so much importance to how early or how late the person could be based on their past antecedents. And that's their own personal relationship with their own time, showing how other people relate to them. One other question I would like to ask us around the way our relational intelligence with ourselves is, as an individual, now let me narrow this down within the family space. Do you think you need to listen more or speak more within your own family? Do you think you need to listen more or speak more? Please, let's use the chat section. As an individual, do you think you need to listen more or speak more? I would love to read responses. Or if anybody wants to say something, you could just unmute yourself and speak. It's fine as well by me. So as an individual, do you need to listen more? Okay, Samira says I need to speak more. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, Nafisa speaks more. Okay. Okay, the plastic plate, listen more. Okay, I need to speak more. I have listened well to my sibling. Okay. Okay, listen more. Okay, it depends on the position you hold in the family. Okay, so John, for you as an individual now, I know you know your position within the family. Probably you are the Odogu. So where you are now, do you need to listen more or speak more? So look at it with probably you want to look at it in a context to your parents, in context to your kids, but your own position within the family. Do you need to listen more or speak more? Okay, speak more. All right. All right. So what I could infer from this is this. For those that say listen more, it means you've done a lot of the speaking. You've given instruction, you've advised, you've counseled, you've even coached, but now you need to let people give you feedback. Let other people express themselves and you know how they feel. Because with relational intelligence, there always need to be a semblance of balance. There needs to be that similar level of balance. I'm not saying it's going to be balanced all through, no. Especially for us as human beings, it's always not balanced. But there should be that semblance of balance. Like, okay, when this person is doing more of this, I should do more of this. So for those that want to listen more, probably you've been the one doing the speaking, doing the talking, trying to get things done. And why you now need to listen to other people, like, okay, so what's even the reason why this thing is not happening the way I want it to happen? And for those that said speak more, it could also mean that you've listened a lot, you've not heard your own opinion as often as possible. You've not made the other people see what is inside, what your own perspective of issues around you. And so let me narrow this down a little bit. This also boils down to the way we handle our intimate relationship, probably with our spouses. And within spouses, there is one who do a lot of talking, and there's one who does probably manage their words and just say it in chunks. And I'm not trying to say it could be either of the genders. I know some people in there are already thinking the women do a lot of talking. It's not always true. Some women live in their head, just like some men do. Like they would have narrated, managed everything in their head. And when it's time to talk, they just tell you a few things and that's all. And so understanding your own position within that intimate relationship, if you're speaking so much, then you now need to know, okay, let me quiet down, let this person express himself. And for those who need to listen more as well, we also need to quiet down and let the other person express, because that way you'll be able to understand each other's perspective very, very well. And that's why it's important for us to understand our own self first in relating with other people, in managing relationship. Let me ask this question. I've always read this quote, and I've heard people say that you don't have friends, or you shouldn't take your colleague in your workplace as your friends. I don't know how true it is. If you believe, say yes. If you don't believe, say no. You shouldn't, your colleagues in your workplace are not your friends. If you believe that this statement is correct, say yes. If you don't think the statement is correct, say no in the chat section, please. Your colleagues in the workplace are not your friends. Now, we're meaning friends, not close friends. Your colleague in your workplace are not your friends. If you believe, type yes. If you don't agree with it, or rather, if you agree, type yes. If you don't agree with it, type no. Because as individuals, we are meant to exhibit different characters, and we're all coming from different parts of experience of life. Imagine someone who grew up in the north and someone who grew up in the south. They are coming with two different experiences, even if they probably undergo a similar life challenge. Let's use this example. An orphan in the north and an orphan in the south, even though they have this same characteristics of being orphans, would still experience life differently based on their location, geographical location. Because an orphan in the north, okay, so then he says no, okay. So you don't agree with the statement that your colleagues are not your friend. I'm coming back to that. So the reason I'm trying to use the example is this. In every situation we find ourselves, the way we relate with people after relating with ourselves, the way people influence the way we see life is very, very critical, right? So the reason why I asked the question about the workplace is what people tend to, let me use what people tend to imprint in our mind goes a long way. So look at it this way. A large percentage of us, I'm not saying everyone, but often than not, a large percentage of us hold the faith we believe in, religious faith we believe in today, based on the fact that probably our parents or someone or our guardian, that was their initial faith. A large number of us. Then some of us go ahead and study to understand the faith better and none. So what it means is we've chosen a particular segment of our life based on the people we found leading us into life. That's one aspect. Other thing is the way we react to failures, more importantly, failures in our life is often an expression to either affirm or negate the things the people before us have done. When Coach Faith was speaking about how she ensures that she doesn't tell her kids, the people that had A, do they have 2 edge than yours and things like that. It's just an indication of how the people who have preceded her in life, how she's now consciously negating that, saying that, oh, I wouldn't let my child feel this bad because of an examinational shit, right? Because the examination is not even a significant iota of life on the long run of things if you're trying to face things out. So what I'm trying to say is the imprint of people into our life plays a significant part in the way we relate with other things and other people. So I've mentioned the fact that the way we relate to failure is often than not to affirm or negate what the people who have led us in life have done. We could affirm it if they've shown us that failure is just one of the phases of success. So when you fail, then you learn to grow better and become successful. Or they tell us that you fail, you are this, you are that, you are as bad as it could be. Then now we now grow up to either affirm it or to negate it. So now coming back to the workplace scenario. So, okay, it's even good. I have one answer to agree, one answer to not agree. So what this means is this. For those two people that have answered, what they've experienced, probably based on work or what they've learned from other people's experience based on their own stories, is what make them agree or disagree. And don't forget, within the office space, everything is like a pyramid. So you could have 1,000 level 8 people that come in, but you can only get one director at every point in time. And there are cases where two friends who grew up through the ladder fight for the same directorate position and they become enemies, right? So the person that said yes is right based on their own experience. And the person that said no is also right based on their own experience. The key difference in both situations is how the individual, that entity of individuality, relates with both scenarios. At no point in time would there be two leaders to occupy one particular seat. There can only be one president at a time. There can only be one director at a time. But the person who contested against you, does that make the person your enemy? The person you contested against, does that mean you now have grudges with the person at that moment in time? So our individual being now comes into play in managing that relationship or being competitive at that point in time to decide how we want to deal with that relationship. So two people fight for a directorial post and one person gets it. Does that mean the other person that did not get it, the person is doomed? Does that mean the other person that did not get it becomes automatically the enemy of the person that got it and sabotage the person's effort? That's where relational intelligence comes in. That's where we need to understand that our foundation as individuals, our foundation as a unit within what we see as success, what we see as how we manage competition, what we see as our own values, the things we see as the cornerstones of our own life principle goes a long way in how we now manage our relationship with other people. So that's why I said we're going to be just talking about 3 components of the relational intelligence. We've spoken about self, now we're going into the people. So now, let me ask this question. I believe, looking at the names I'm seeing, so when you wanted to get married, did you marry based on just one thing or a collection of things? One thing or a collection? So that's the answer I need from you, please. Do you marry based on one thing or you marry based on a collection of things? Please, I would love your response in the chat room. Do you marry based on just one thing or you marry based on a summation of, oh, person has this, met this? Okay, then it's a collection of things. Okay, okay, thank you, Mr. John, for the answer. Yes, she said that entirely it's not true. That workplace no friend is not true. Because yes, you see some colleague that has friends and some that would act otherwise. Yes, that's where relational intelligence comes in. So the question I'm asking now is, if you're married or if you're in a relationship generally, yeah, everybody's in a relationship. Are you in that relationship because of one thing or a summation of things, a collection of things? Yeah, I think Dennis said, yeah, a collection of things. Okay, beautiful, a collection of things. So, you know, I made mention of something the other time that we are all in a summation of things. Okay, thank you, Samira. I made mention of something the other time that we're all in a kind of a multiple relationship whereby sometimes you're in a polygamy whereby you marry the same person over and over again. And what I mean is this. At the beginning of any relationship, there's just one thing that starts it. Or there's one spark of interest. Then how deeply you get into that relationship now comes around the summation of other things. So example, so for an intimate relationship, so probably you're attracted with the looks, or probably by, let's say, the godliness of the person or the spirituality of the person. Then you now get closer and realize, oh, this person is also this. Oh, this person is also smart, very intelligent, oh, very articulate, oh, have a very good fashion sense. Then you now have all those submissions coming in as layers upon one thing or the other. What I'm trying to drive at is this. At any point in time, when we get into relationship, we start to wait. Is that you have a checklist of, oh, this person take this person take this. Or there's just one thing you look out for at the beginning, like, oh, for me as a Muslim now, and you have this example of, you're trying to find out, like, when it comes to marriage, intimate relationship, you're trying to look at the spirituality of the person. Like, oh, is this person spiritual? Can I raise a family based on the spirituality of this person? Will this person be able to help me raise my kid in the proper Islamic way, right? Then after that, they now check, oh, does this person have adequate knowledge of this? How is this person doing economically? How is the dress sense of this person? Oh, okay. All right, okay. Then you now start having that checklist to check. So sometimes for some people it's one thing, for some people it's a collection of things. But in the long run, we all come back to having a collection of things, because that's where expectations now come in. Oh, I thought when we get back from work, we're meant to do things together. Oh, I thought when we have kids, we're meant to share the bills 50-50. I thought. Because at every point in time for us as individuals, even if we come in to one thing or a collection of things, then we have some underlying expectations based on our own baggage of relational experience with people that we are bringing into the new relationship. I don't know if anyone has experienced this, that something happened and you use your own parental experience, what you've seen your parents do or your guardians do, to try to solve your own relationship issues. And by something happened, probably there was a little bit of discord. And like, my dad doesn't treat my mom this way, or my mom doesn't speak to my dad this way, or something like that. I don't know if you've experienced that. What it means is, even we use other people's relational experience to learn, to be more proactive, and bring that into our own relationship. All right. So there are two things I would like us to take away from when we talk about our relational experience with people. I need you to ask yourself these questions, or let me say these 3 questions. The first of them being, who has experienced the best of you? Who is that person that has experienced the best of you? Then the second question is, who is the person that has experienced the worst of you? Right? And how do you think your work relationship, okay, now that's the third one. How do you think your work relationship can help you create a work-life balance? Even though I don't agree with that statement. But how do you think your work relationship can help you create a work-life balance? Because I think one of the core things that that give people a lot of stress is work. You know, when you talk about work, remember that within your workspace, there's finances involved because you're getting a remuneration for the work you're doing. So if you're having a financial stress, it also indirectly tied or directly even tied to your job. If you're having a workload stress, directly tied to your job. So 3 questions. Who has experienced the best of you? Who has experienced the worst of you? And how do you think, or do you think your work relationships could help you strike a work-life balance? So those 3 questions, I want us to answer them personally. And if you feel like sharing that with us, please go ahead and share it with us within the chat section. Okay. Then the last part of it, I said we'll just look at 3 anchors of relational intelligence. We talked about the self, we talked about the people. As much as I would have loved to go in depth into the relationship matters, but time wouldn't permit us. Then the last part of it is the communal one. Let me put it this way. The community is always and will always be based upon shared relational values. As one thing I love about our country, Nigeria, is the fact that there are some things we've shared and has transcended time. And that's the way we could translate anything into joy, anything into fun, and anything into laughter. No matter what happens tomorrow, you are sure that whatever how bad it is, you find a comic relief on it on the internet in the next few hours, where someone will create a content around it and we could ease it out and probably reduce the depth, or let me say how deeply it's going to affect us, right? Even though that could be a double-edged sword, but one thing we could also say is the fact that the values we've all poured into the community is what we are seeing in the community. You know, I could remember when I was growing up, my second mom is a neighbor I grew up with, who probably before becoming neighbors with my parents, they didn't know each other from Adam. But till today, she's still like my second mom. Like if I want to do anything or if anything is happening to me, she gets to know about it. So she's the one who dropped me in school and I come back from school to meet her. And that communal development has always been there. And I can't deny the fact that growing up within a community is one of the values I've learned and how the impact of community could go in a long way. And I could say I've experienced it when someone say, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes 2 people to give birth, but it takes a village to raise a child. But now, if we check that within our context of reality today, you realize the fact that the village raising a child is no longer there. The communal togetherness in raising children are no longer there. When you see someone's child doing something wrong, you could only say, that's wrong, stop it. But I can remember I was being beaten home by some people because I was doing something wrong outside. I was beaten home, then my mom would not take over from there and give me additional beating. What I'm trying to say is this. On a communal level, our shared values is what dictates what the community would accept. Our shared value is what becomes our culture. Our shared value is what becomes our norm. Our shared value is what becomes what the society would push out and accept. We have some, we have some vices that are looking out to becoming shared value within our community. And it is basically due to the fact that a large number of us have kept quiet about them. And we also need to put back of our mind that even within the community, we are all unique individuals and we are not expected to deliver on the same level. So on a relational level, as individuals, you need to know your strengths and what you are adding to the community. You need to know your strength and what you're adding to the people. You need to know your own strengths and what you're adding to yourself. At the same time, you need to know your own weakness and how to manage it with yourself. You need to know your own weakness and how to manage it with the people around you. You need to know your own weakness and how to manage it within the community. So, what are our shared values within the community? Are we glorifying finances over core moral values? Are we glorifying the things we see, materialistic things, over the depth of commitment on a communal level, how we are committed to our own community to grow. So I would like to ask these questions, and I would answer one of them. The second one is, what is our shared value as a group of people? Because it's this shared value that determines how we relate together. What is our shared value as humans? What is our shared value as a country? What is our shared value as Nigerians? What is our shared values as humans in the globe in general? You know, when people talk about climate change, gender-based violence, wash projects, water projects, and things like that, that's people coming in to manage a particular scope of the community and trying to get things out. But the final one I would like us to reflect on is, who do you associate with? Who do you associate with an association? But on the core level of it, we associate with probably our religion, spirituality, be you a Muslim, be you a Christian, be you a traditionalist, be you an atheist. That's the level of association. For every level of association you have, how does that integrate back into the community? So this is the point where I would stop so that we could take questions and answers. But to wrap up, how you relate with everyone starts with how you relate with yourself. The moment you're able to relate with yourself well, understand your own values, your own principles, where you are self-sabotaging and know how to manage that, where you are limiting yourself, where you are thinking yourself as an imposter and how to manage that, then it will help you in allowing other people to manage you, interact with you better, because you are the one that gives people the template to interact with you. You know, if someone try to interact with you in a bad manner, the moment you cut it off and say, no, you don't interact with me that way, the person learns directly or indirectly. Is it that the person comes back and relates with you better, or they don't relate with you at all? So you're giving the person a template to interact with you. So you interact with yourself, you interact with people around you, and know that this interaction goes, everything is in phases. Your intimate interaction, your family interaction, your parental interaction, your interaction with your kids, with your work acquaintances and colleagues. And on the long run, how we now pour all these values into our community, and where it becomes a shared value, where it becomes a shared relationship, becomes the culture, becomes the norms that we find accepted within our community. All right, thank you very much. If there are any questions, I hope I've not confused you more. If there are any questions, I would like to take them. Okay, let me pass the mic to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Please let's show our. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, go ahead, please. Let's go ahead and give Coach Shitu a rounding applause. What a wonderful session! I like it, but you are not going away that soon, sir. I have a follow-up question. When you were explaining the concept of relational intelligence, I like the. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, so I like the concept that if I'm very good at relating with myself, there tend to be this spillover in how I relate with the next neighbor. That's okay, right? And that if there are discrepancy between how I treat myself well and how I'm treating the next neighbor, then there tend to be that distrust, or there tends to be that distrust between my relationship with myself and the other person. So for someone who comes into a new place and wouldn't want to be that very emotional because he is naturally the emotional person, or wouldn't want to be that very loving and caring, even though he has this way of pampering himself or herself, lavishing a lot on herself, the person is kind of being very careful. What are some of those things that can help the person manage the situation where he or she is not seen as being fake or hypocrite, but at the same time being true to his or her true self, that caring, loving person, that she or he has always been to herself. How do you manage that balance, sir?
All right, thank you very much, Sabike. So the very first thing I'd like to say is that there's no way, or let me say, you could only hide yourself for as long as you want, but people would always see your true picture.
Oh. Koshitu, are you still here with us?
Sewa, serious mom. Olusewa, she said she corrected name last year, and you still make the same mistake.
Temitayo. Okay, thank you. Koshitu, are you still here with us?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So with time, your deepest self will get expressed. So it is natural to be cautious. And yes, you don't want to show everybody you are this cool, nice guy. But with time, with relationship with people, your true self would get to erupt. There's this saying in Yoruba language that if you let me try to see, like your character is like smoke. There's no way you can hide it, right? So with time, people get to see the bubbles, the smokes of your character. In as much as it is natural to be very cautious. I think it's one of the innate emotions of man. Because being cautious is because we don't want to get into a space of the flight or the fight, right? Because you're trying to be cautious, like I don't want to hurt myself. I'm trying to manage my head. It is natural. But with time, you get to know, okay, this is the person I want to relate to within this space. Okay, we can have a middle ground. So naturally, number one, it's good to be cautious. Number two, you need to understand yourself. Then now, since you understand yourself, you need to understand the other people you are trying to relate with. Just like I gave the example of two people fighting for a directorate position. One person may see the person that wins as the enemy, and another person may say, okay, it's just a game of life, right? So understanding the people you're playing with would also help you position yourself in how to deal with them. Just like you not tell everyone your secrets. You could have arrays of friends. You could have 3 good friends, and it's only one of them that know your secrets, right? Because of the kind of disposition you have with that person, which is the same thing within the workplace. So you're cautious. With humans, you can't really say, this is the person that you are guaranteed that would never betray trust. But one thing around relationship is, if a relationship don't have a dent, you would not know how deep the depth of that relationship would also go. There are times whereby there are conflicts. Conflicts are very important in relationship. So there are times where you need to have conflict for you to really know, okay, who is really, really going to be there for you on the long run? Who is really going to stand by you on the long run? I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you so much, sir. I don't know if we have any question. We can take 1 or 2 before we wrap up this session. Please, you have just 30 seconds. If you have any question, you can unmute yourself, or you can use the chat. Coach Shitu, how can we meet you, follow you? Where do we go to if we want to read more about you, learn about you? Coach Iyahan, if you are still on the call, if you also want to share your contacts or how we can contact you. Thank you, sir. Yes, if our coaches are listening, please share your contacts. We would love to get in touch, perhaps via email or your social media handles, just in case there's someone on the call. Okay, thank you so much. We've had 2 wonderful sessions, and I'm being blessed. I'm going to use that word. I'm learning, I'm relearning, and I'm unlearning. We still have 2 outstanding sessions to go for, but that will be after we have a very short session that
Okay. Let me just type let me just put my number in the chat.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. All right. While Okay, Faith, Coach Faith has um, shared her contact, so you can see that in the chat comment section, and then you can reach out to her in any of those platforms. All right. Okay, so just a quick question, something to help us refresh our memory. What was the first question Coach Shitu asked? The first question he asked. Let me see who has been following the session so far. The first question he asked. I'm checking the comment section. What was that first question he asked? Wow. The first question he asked. Who wants to save us? Who has been following? The first question he asked. I'm thinking that Inform Avia will help because she actually said something on that. The first question he asked. Okay. The question was, how do you express success with yourself? How do you express success with yourself? That was the first question he asked. How do you express success with yourself? Okay. Another question. The last question. This time I have. Okay, let me not say it. But I think we should get it. The last question he asked. The last question he asked. What was the last question Coach Shitu asked? What was the last question he asked? If I say it, you will pay me for it. What was the last question he asked? Okay, I'll leave that for you to figure it out. We're going to have a short break, just a short 60 seconds or 90 seconds break for us to stretch ourselves. You can grab a cup of coffee, grab a bottle of water, but we will be back at exactly 11:53 so that we can quickly have at 11:55, sorry, so that we can have a short info about SECA and what we do. Okay, Mojisola Ogundipe said, did you marry for one reason or plenty reasons? Yes. Thank you so much, man. That was the last question. All right. If you can hear me, SECA admin, help us with a music, something light so that we can stretch our legs, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, and we'll be back in the next 30 to 60 seconds. By 11:55, we should be back so that we can continue the program. Thank you very much. I will see you at exactly 11:55 a.m. Thank you. All right, all right. We are back from that very short break. We will continue the session. We're going to move into the next, which is just a very short session before we have our next speaker, Coach Tony Sese. I'm sure we all know that this is a Pan-African webinar. It is brought to you by SECA Africa, Nigeria's finest company. Our specialty is in business processes. We are into coaching, behavioral change, and we are also into processes and strategy for businesses. We believe that individuals can become better, businesses can flourish, organizations can grow. We're always looking out for ways to helping everybody in our community become better. So whether it is through our certification courses, like the anger management, the EQ, the life coaching, or any of our business support services, or through our coaching services, or through our community-centric platforms, whichever service we offer, the goal is to making sure that individuals are the better versions of themselves, and that our communities and our businesses that we service thrive and flourish. SECA is a fusion of business support group, business study group, and SUBCA, which metamorphosed into SECA. So it's like bringing combined the energy of those two entities into one, in making sure that we have better service delivery and efficiency. You can find us online, www.secaafrica.com, and of course on the social media at MySECAAfrica. The goal of the Pan-African is to drive conversations like this, bring the best in the industry into the same room and help them bring clarity to our thoughts, help them bring cutting-edge hands-on lessons, tactics, tips, actionable and relatable experiences that you can leverage for your business growth, your brand, and even for your personal development and career advancement. Like I said yesterday, if you were at that info session on coping with the whole overwhelming effects of relocating or migrating to another country, we have a very important class coming up next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on how to appoint a very effective board for your business. Corporate governance is key and strategic. You really cannot do much in this part of the world if you are doing a one-man business. Every indices is already against businesses. And so you need a strong corporate governance to help you thrive, to help you become sustainable, to help you move from point A to the next. Beyond that, you also need a good corporate governance to help guide the people who run the business day to day, so that the business overall is on track. So that class goes for 25,000 for non-SECA members and 15,000 for SECA members. So you have powerful industry speakers like Hajia Zainab Mustafa Jaji, Managing Director, Intensive Training and Development Company. You have KOS, Kemi Olumola Sijuade, MNI, Principal at KOS Legal Services. You have Dr. Sam Obafobi, life coach, and quite a lot of other things that he's been doing. He is the founder and CEO of SECA. Those three heavyweights will be taking you through the journey on how you can successfully appoint outstanding members in your board. And beyond that, you also have several other courses we have lined up for you, just in case you want to get a glimpse of what our calendar looks like for the next 6 months. You can send a DM to the number in the comment section. That will be sorted out for you, or you can also send an email to services@secaafrica.com. The goal of SECA, for us as SECA, is to making sure that every person who comes our way is better than they came when they move to their next level. We believe life is a journey. We believe businesses should be progressive. All we are doing is to making sure that you are sustainable, particularly in this time and age. You really cannot do much alone. You need a support, you need a community, and we have reinforced that in whatever we do, that the community is one thing you need. Whether you are a part of the second community or not, we have always emphasized that community is key. One thing that the Octopus usually do is to help members become better at building their own community as much as they're part of our community. One of such platforms is the Community Mastermind, which is more like a hands-on, interactive, one-on-one, face me, I face you kind of conversation-like workshop, where he is drilling you and showing you what to do to make sure that you build a successful business community that will take your business from zero to something else. And the next batch is the first cohort in September. You may want to consider that too, or you may want to go for his book, which we're going to talk about before the end of this session. So just in case you're coming on joining us, we are SECA Africa, Nigeria's finest when it has to do with coaching, business processes, strategy, behavioral change, and brand community. Do well to check us on www.secaafrica.com, and I believe you will not regret it. Now, Coach Session is a part of our community called the Octopus Speakers Pool, and she will be taking her session shortly. But before that, I would like to quickly read her bio. If you permit me, I will do that in a minute. Amazing bio, amazing, 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 amazing. Okay, here we go. Okay, just a minute, please. Yes, it is here. Okay. Our next speaker is a prolific person, and she's a coach, and you will be seeing her soon. She's an executive emotional wellness coach and transformational leader. She has expertise in integrative attachment theory, cognitive behavioral therapy, energy medicine, emotional freedom techniques, organizational culture management, subconscious mind reprogramming, executive life coaching. She is passionate about empowering entrepreneurs, professionals, and organizations to achieve active mental, emotional stability, and peak performance. Her creative approach and interventions focus on harmonizing life pillars, emotional fitness, and mental preparedness. Amazing. Her journey began in 2012 in the UK, where she witnessed several career advancements, has worked as a consultant in organizational development, getting expertise in firm psychology, in team psychology, leadership, and organizational culture. She is the author of 3 books. She has been featured on several platforms. She has spoken on several. Ernest, can you mute?
Friend, your mic is muted, please.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Now
Okay.
we are hearing you.
Can
You were
you hear me
muted for a
now?
while. You were muted for a while, but we can hear you now.
Ah, okay, 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 okay. I just read the profile. Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. I was okay. Let's just do this again. I was letting my audience know that the next person we are bringing is a very powerful individual. You know, from being the executive director at the Wellness Hub Africa to being the CEO of 402 Wellness Company to being a life coach to being the author of 3 books, being featured in on several platforms, executive life coach, subconscious mind reprogramming expert, organizational culture management expert, emotional freedom technician, energy medicine advocate, quite a lot of things. And the work you've done since 2012 from the UK, in Nigeria, and globally. If you are ready, just like I am, I think she deserves a warm welcome. Please go ahead, use the comment section, and let's work here. Feel very warmly welcome. Thank you very much, Coach Sesen. You have the floor. Thank you very much. You are welcome.
Thank you so much, OBK, for that introduction. I was wondering, is it me or there's someone else that you are introducing? Thank you very much. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. And thank you everybody for being here. I'll try and make this as fast as possible. I can imagine sitting up since 9:45 a.m. or lying down, whatever you're doing. So there's just a very brief exercise we'll do before my presentation. It's an energy medicine exercise, so it's just a bonus for you to have to take home with you when you get back from work and you feel so stressed and you're so tired. Because the world these days is really, really stressful. Please, can we all mute? Can we all make sure that we're muted? The world is really stressful these days, and yeah, there are a lot of things stressing everybody. But there's an energy medicine quick exercise I'm going to show us, and it's something you can practice at home and practice even at work during your lunch break time. So you just rub your hands together. When you rub your hands together, you will notice that you're feeling the warmth. And what that means is that there's energy passing between your hands, and it just confirms the fact that you are an energetic being. Energy is just power, it's just movement, something that is in motion. That's what energy is. So don't let anybody bamboozle you or make it look like a buzzword. It's just movement of something from one form to another. It's just, it sounds really technical, but it's just that simple. So rub your hands together, and then you take your fingertips, you dip it at the back of your shoulder as if you want to massage yourself, and then you pull it out in a diagonal form. You pull it down, and as you're doing it, you just breathe out, sigh, breathe out, sigh, breathe out, sigh, and then you take this too, and then you breathe out, sigh. Now what you're doing is removing the stress from your shoulder. You're moving it in a diagonal form and taking it off your body. So yeah, that's what energy medicine teaches you, to take off the stress from your body, even with your fingertips, because energy moves from one form to the other. As you're dragging it, you're moving the stressful energy out of your body, out to the ground. Yes. And the second one that just came to my mind to teach you again is, if you want to relax, if you're feeling very burdened, very sad, if you're having grief. I had surgery recently and I was immobilized for some time and some other complications. And I was really very sad because I couldn't work. Well, one thing that kept me going was this exercise. I just pull my hands from my shoulder and just drag it down. Just drag it down. It has to be in a cross form. There's a reason why. Maybe some other time, if OSP decides to bring me up again, I'll tell you why. You just do that and just close your eyes and then breathe out. And relax. It's like telling your body, calm down, calm down, calm down. I got you. I got you. God's got you. Yeah. So I hope that was refreshing. I would like to hear feedback from the audience in the comment section, how those two exercises were for you. And let's get into the business of the day. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm supposed to share my screen. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see someone saying refreshing. Thank you for that. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. So now we're talking about the mindful leader. Sorry, just bear with me and my slides. We have a very wonderful understanding. Okay. Ready? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Can you all see my slides? OBK, please, I'll need your audio. Can you see my slide?
Yes, I can see your slide.
Okay, thank you. Because it's something else I'm seeing here. Okay, the mindful leader, unlocking intuitive skills for business success. Like I said, the world today is very, very stressful. And there is moving beyond what we know now. It's moving beyond our five senses to our sixth sense. Someone was telling me the last time, if Dangote could be crying, what of the rest of us? I said Dangote's agenda and plan with life is a different path. My own plan is a different path. If I look at Dangote's business and all of that, I saw Coach Sam's status, I think yesterday, say if I walk by sight, my hope is going to shatter. So this unlocking the intuitive skill is a very deep art. And I'll be sharing in this presentation what it takes to unlock it. Not exactly unlocking the skill, because there is a process. There's a way we move towards getting the skill unlocked. And if we miss the process, if you just jump into learning intuitive skills and learning how to use your intuition, you get to a point you will not be able to scale. So it's like you just have a plateau and you won't be able to scale. But when you learn the process, you'll be able to graduate, evolve, and then also add to it as you are growing. So that is what we're going to be dealing with now. Of course, you all know I'm an emotional wellness coach, and this is moving beyond learning the emotions. After learning the emotions, the next step for you is learning what intuition is and what it can give to you as a business person. So the future, the power of the intuitive mind, it gives you optimal consciousness. What's consciousness? Is an awareness, is an awakening. It's like you were sleeping and someone woke you up. I don't know, you can respond in the comment section if you've ever had a time where maybe you look back like, what was I thinking when I did that thing? Especially for maybe when you were in a relationship and then you look back, what was I thinking being in a relationship with that person? Like, that is, you've come to a place of awareness, you've come to a place of awakening, and that is what consciousness is. It gives you optimal consciousness. It helps you to be able to perform at your peak productivity and growth. Even when it seems as if everything around you is bleak, you have that consciousness that it is a phase and there's always light, even in darkness. So the future of your business depends solely on you to develop that ability to sharpen your sixth sense, to be able to be proactive and to predict what the future is. I heard recently, you know, we all know the red ocean strategy, blue ocean strategy. There's now black ocean strategy. Some people are moving into companies now and they are using their sixth sense, well, sixth sense in quotes, because the way they describe it, they say it's black magic. But we all know that we as human beings, all of us have six senses, where something will tell you, move away from there. And then the next thing you see that maybe something just dropped, like cement. If you were standing under a building that was being completed, something just dropped from up, or you just had this gut feeling to do something and you did it, and then voila, the result was amazing. That is your sixth sense. So we all have it, but it's how to sharpen it. That's what we're going to talk about today. As a credible leader, the only thing that gives you an edge is your ability to intuitively navigate your personal life. Because as a business person, if your personal life is in shambles, you can imagine what will happen to your professional life. I was at a meeting sometime and someone said she had to go and give birth and she handed her business over to someone. And she came back and it was and someone she trusted, she had groomed for years, and you know, it was in shambles. So even while you're handling your personal life and you feel, okay, I've left my business in the hands of someone, you still have to have that intuition to know, okay, though I'm hands off, but this is the next step to take. So handling your personal, your professional life, handling the business terrain, this is how important the sixth sense is, your intuitive mind. And the challenges of modern leadership. One of the greatest challenges that we have is personal management. In as much as, yes, we go on to learn everything we learn about business. I graduated almost in 2012. I graduated from Wolverhampton Business School, and we learned a lot: operations, balance sheets, accounting, all of that. And I think my favorite course was business communication, because there was interaction in it. You know, and the last speaker, I like what he said about having a relationship with yourself. I believe after having a relationship with your creator, or the ultimate person in your life, I believe the next step for you will be to have a relationship with yourself. So personal management, managing stress and burnout, decision fatigue. As business leader, you just have to make decisions every time. Poor work-life balance. Coach Chito say he doesn't like that word, but well, it exists. And we make do of what we can. We define it the way we can. Decrease productivity and revenue. When your productivity begins to decline, and then you're not making as much revenue. I had to manage myself this last month, in 1 month, since I was hands-on on this business side of coaching. I don't think I've had a 1 month downtime. Even if I'm on holiday, it's just maybe a week and I'm back. But my productivity declined, and you know how that would affect revenue. But I had to take my own lecture into my own hands and say, see, we need to manage stress. We need to manage this feeling of fatigue. We need to manage all of this feeling. And believe me, my mental health was top notch. Professional management, employee performance. Well, let me not dwell much on that, but we all know how it is, how we push our employees to do what they're supposed to do. And some people have it very beautiful. I love the way Seka Africa is, and the way Coach Sam talks about Seka Africa. I don't think they will have any problem with employee management. Sales strategy, marketing strategy. You can see these two people putting their hands on their head like, only me, all these things. Even if you outsource, at least once in a while, you put your eye there, what is happening, systems and processes, learning the operation, putting the systems and processes right. Even when I had my own downtime, I still had systems and processes that were working for me. Putting systems and processes in place, managing that external part is another challenge today's leadership is facing. But one thing that we know is there's something that ties these two together: your professional and personal management, the impact on your sales, which is the lifeblood of your business. I love this guy, Darius Sodi. He's in a short 1 minute, let me tell you his story. This guy was a multimillionaire in dollars. And he said in a month, he lost $100 million and he was back to ground zero. Today, the guy is worth 1 billion US dollars. And how he did it is everything we're talking about today, personal and professional management. He had to school himself back into everything that has to do with personal management. So according to him, he said the first rule of sales is establish trust and build relationship. He said when you're doing that, you ask a minimum of 20 open-ended questions before you start pitching your product at all. So if you want to pitch your product and you've not started asking open-ended questions, you've not even started. And he said, when you ask the question, you show interest in other people, make them feel cared for, and foster trust. Now, you cannot ask 20 open-ended questions if you don't understand other people. We talked about personal management, we talked about understanding yourself, we talked about self-awareness. But do you understand other people? Do you understand their attachment styles? One of the reasons why I got certified in attachment styles and theory was to understand the attachment of people and why they behave the way they behave. Why will a person just behave in a certain way? We call it irrational, but it's their programming. So I went deep to learn their programming, their coding, and how to reprogram them. So there's a coding, you uncode it, and then you recode it, and you put them on a new pattern. But if you don't understand those patterns and how the patterns work and how the environment shifts those patterns, then you will not be able to ask the 20 open-ended questions. Even body language will help you to understand the person you're dealing with. If you don't understand body language, if you don't understand how the energy is, you will not be able to ask those questions. And we know what that is. The sales might not, come as it ought to. So when you ask those questions, it shows that you're interested in them, and people love talking about themselves. People love knowing that you're interested in them and that you care for them. And that will foster trust. Relationships, like I said, understanding yourself, understanding others. I love Cochito's example. Relational management and intelligence. Emotional competence is one of David Goldman's keys when he in his books about employee emotional intelligence. Emotional regulation and fitness. This cannot be overemphasized. How to regulate. People say they are negative and positive emotions. I love to believe the two should coexist. Of course, you need anger. You need a spike of adrenaline. Sometimes you need good stress to help you to finish a deadline. But at the end of the day, you need to regulate. You need to be able to balance the two. And that is what regulation is. Emotional regulation is a superpower. And emotional fitness is the fact that you are able to continue on that path. You are regulating your emotions, but you're continuing on that path. It's like going to the gym to lift your dumbbell or something. And as you're building the muscle, you begin to get fitness in that muscle. So it's something you do regularly. It's something that takes time. But at the end of the day, you will see the effort. Mind reprogramming and evolution. Your mind needs to be reprogrammed continuously. The world we live in today, you cannot leave anything to chance. You need to upgrade your mind continuously. And ultimately, you will develop intuition. So this is what happens when you don't, when you ignore the power of intuition, or you ignore the power of developing your emotions, or you ignore all of that. Like, and let me just concentrate on what I know how to do best. You begin to develop anxiety and depression, begin to have strained relationships. You have decreased job satisfaction, and you have increased staff turnover. Your staff will leave. I have a friend that told me that she had, I think, about 12 drivers in 1 year. And I didn't know how to tell her that, madam, the only constant denominator is you, not the drivers. So if you don't check out all of that, these are the impacts that you have on you. Ultimately, you have a spiritual decline and disconnection with your spirit and with source. And when that happens, we know the next thing is financial stress and unwellness. So you can see how deep. Can anyone see this diagram of the brain? I love it so much. It's like a tree. And we know what happens to trees. They get their nurturing So this means you need to nurture your mind consistently, nurture the brain consistently. Just I love the way God created us, that in the sense that there are things inside us that are not exposed. You can also see outer symbolism of what it is, what represents any organ on our inside. Sorry, please, can we all mute? Can everybody mute, please? Thank you. So we can all see that what we have on the inside is really represented on the outside. And that saying goes, it said, what you see on the outside is representation of what's going on your inside. That's a very powerful statement. So this diagram is to remind you that in as much as, yes, you believe that the brain needs nurturing, the mind needs nurturing, there's something called the hippocampus in the brain. I digress a bit, but this is just a bonus. The hippocampus in the brain develops when you read continually. It's like exams of life come every day. How do you prepare? Continuous studying, reading. And that is the same thing. That's how it translates into the impact of what everything has on your mind and your physical health. Continuous study. This period when I was there, I read everything about every symptom that was disturbing me. And definitely I'm an energy medicine person. I went to understand the energy medicine behind it. It took a while, but I hit a jackpot and I was super glad I did. And definitely another book is coming out of this experience. So with all of this, I then decided to put the solution into a book. The book is called The Mindful Leader. The Mindful Leader is a path to self-leadership. It helps you to develop your self-awareness. Therefore, it's never enough. There are different dimensions to us. I did physics when I was in secondary school. And we understand that when you put a prism, it's just a glass. It's another fancy name. A triangular glass. When you put it through light, it gives you 12 different dimensions of light. If something that is a non-living thing can give you 12 different dimensions of light, how much more you as a living, moving, breathing, energetic being, when things pass through you, you would get different dimensions of it. So this is a book you need to come back to every time when you find out a new dimension of yourself. Oh, okay, self-awareness, awareness of others. In that book, I did an expose of part of my certification, the integrative attachment theory of people, especially in the workspace, how they manage their time, how they react to burnout, how they react to boundaries. Some people don't have boundaries at the workspace. Why and how to handle them. Emotional regulation and inner stability is the superpower. This country will make you go. I just remember the time I had an interaction with a VIO officer. And today, me and the guy were friends. When we're passing, we will heal each other. But this country can make you go crazy. Improve decision making. You need to make decision of the sport. As a business person, sharpen your intuition. You need that sixth sense. You need that sixth sense. Enhance collaboration and communication, especially with stakeholders. Networking is the lifeblood of any business. The people that you network with. Increase resilience and well-being. You need to increase your emotional resilience. It's like my capacity and my bandwidth. This moment, this period, I stretched it. I believe some people would have gone through what I went through and they would have been like, that's it, let me just leave this world. But no, I had to increase my resilience. And definitely it started to tell in my well-being. And the key takeaways from the book is that you also learn practical examples, mindful meditation and emotional regulation. And this will in turn speaking your finances, how to manage your finances. These are things that my clients have proven and I have proven in my own personal life. Strategies for overcoming blocks to intuition. Effective marketing and business strategy, there are principles to it. But everybody has their own bespoke way of approaching the market. And this can only happen through intuition. I read Coach Sam's status one time. He says, every day pray to God, what should I sell and how should I sell it? So if the guru can tell you that one, you know that you need this intuition. Intuition simply means having the sixth sense to know what others don't know, especially concerning your business. So effective communication and conflict management is also inside the book. It's also part of effective marketing and business solution. Spirituality grow deep in mindfulness and meditative practices. The art of personal and self-management. Techniques for prioritizing self-care. Someone was asking me on an Instagram live the other day. They challenged me because I said self-care is not going to the spa. It's beyond that. It's beyond that. It's a lot of internal dialogue because the battle happens in the mind. And I'm telling you, there are times when I went for surgery, I wasn't expecting. I just went to the hospital for a checkup and I said, see, we have to wheel you in, emergency, blah, 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 and all of that. And there was a battle in my mind. And that's because I've been prioritizing my self-care. When the time came to unleash, but when the things were just coming, I was just hitting it back to back. Setting healthy boundaries, emotional resilience. And this book will give you hands-on practical solutions to real life pests and trials. You'll see relatable case studies. It will help you to strengthen your mindful leaders journey. This journey cannot be walked alone. Even I myself, I go back to that book most times to read it again and again and again. It's really a holistic approach. Consequences of ignoring your intuition, forgotten legacy, poor decisions, missed opportunities, decreased innovation. And these are examples of businesses we know in Nigeria why they failed. I don't want to spend so much time because my time is running. But remember Eleganza. Who remembers Eleganza? Please put in the chat box and what you remember about them. And what products did you use about Eleganza? Please, let's make this a bit interactive. Eleganza products, yes, Eleganza. They struggle to adapt to changing markets. We don't even hear about them again. See this shipwreck, Titanic. Yeah, that's what happens to business when it's refusing to evolve. I don't know if the people that built Titanic had the intuition. Maybe they would have seen that, oh, something is going to happen. And then they would have taken precautions. But well, who knows? Dantata so I remember when I came to Abuja in the very early 90s. Yeah, they were always they were handling projects and road construction, including corruption, they failed, allegations, and all of this. Who knows if the leaders had intuition? Who knows? SGBN, Societe General Bank. This I don't know if you're a Gen Z, you will not know this one. Yeah, subsidiary giant Societe General Bank Nigeria struggle with poor management, corruption, and regulatory issues leading to its eventual closure and liquidation. Who knows if the leaders had intuition, all of these things might have not happened. So I decided to use African Nigerian examples, but we know BlackBerry, that it didn't evolve, Kodak, and the likes of them all. Besides the book, I also have a program for the corporate organizations, but I won't spend much time on this. But it's a 6-module and is an accelerator program for a year. It includes one-on-one group mentoring sessions, peer support network, assessment and feedback. I know Nigerians will love assessment. Please assess me. What's wrong with me? I have that one. And feedback, and then a personalized development plan for you to work your journey. And today, the Mindful Leadership book is going at a discounted price because this is my community. It's a very powerful book. Even as coaches, you can use it to train others as well. It's not just going to be a one-time book, but it's a book you keep going back to again and again and again. 6 winning edge principles of self-leadership in emotional mastery. It will help you to sharpen the steps and the principles of your intuition. And to unlock the power of mindful leadership, invest in your executives today, their well-being and business success. Here is my email address, my phone number, and website. You might want to take a screenshot of it to get in touch with me. And so we have come to the end of our presentation. I don't know why my slide is not moving. I had a very beautiful thank you note for everybody. I'm not sure why my slide is not moving me. Okay, thank you. Can you see my slide? Thank you for your attention. Okay, please, I would like to hear your voice. Can you see the last slide?
Yes, yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for your attention. The Mindful Leader, unlocking intuitive skills for business success. You want to scale up in this, is this 20? Have we entered this 22nd century? Post-COVID era, you need the sixth sense. You need something, you need an edge. You need something that's going to give you an edge beyond your competitors, beyond even your stakeholders. You need an edge. You need to know the solution to their problem even before they speak. It's not easy being a business person, but it is possible to develop your intuitive skills. Thank you so much. Would there be any questions? I'm here to take your questions. I think my time is up.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a brief, concise, powerful, full of insight, straight to the point session. You know those type of sessions that there's not much talk. You just say 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, and the result starts happening. Thank you so much, Ma. I like the perspective on being intentional about oneself, being intentional about myself. I'm the one who has that power, intentional. One way I can sharpen my intuition, that is my takeaway from the session, is continually telling myself that nobody takes the responsibility but me. So if I say this should be at this point, then I should get it done at that point. Perhaps if I delay a little, there could be very dangerous consequences. And usually when you set such targets, there's that urge for you to keep at it. No matter when I sleep, I know 6 a.m. I'm waking up. No matter what I do, I know 7:30 a.m. I should be out of the house because I know that Gwarimpa traffic is something else. And if I overcome that stretch, that Gwarimpa stretch, Katangwe stretch is waiting for me. And it can take 30 minutes for you to get out of such traffic in many days, in many occasions. So because sometimes if I'm stuck, I'm feeling so bad. I'm like, hey, you should be out of this place. Hey, you should be out of this place. And sometimes I could see myself jump out of the car I am already in, so that I can break my journey into batches, take me from this point to this point, I'm moving to another car from this point to this point, because I'm telling myself, you have to be in the office at 9. My colleagues know that by 9:10, I'm already calling. If I'm not any close to the office, I'm already calling. I'm calling like there's fire on the mountain. I'm calling this person, I'm calling the other person, I'm calling the other person, I'm calling the other person, I'm calling. I could be calling like 3 people at the same time. I'm just calling them to say, CEO, this is where I am. It's not because for me, I think that's where that intuition comes in. This should be done at this time. Maybe because it has to do with my temperament. Coach, do you think so? Do you think sharpening one's intuition has something to do with one's temperament? I know I am a melancholy. I know that I can be choleric too, but a very strong melancholy individual like me is looking at the attention to details, is looking at analyzing everything and making sure that if I leave at this time, can I arrive at this time? If I don't see all, I'm not stepping out. And can that also help in limiting one's potential, particularly in sharpening and using intuition? What has temperament got to do with all of this?
It has everything to do with it. And I like the fact that you spoke about the temperaments. I think the name escapes my head. The man that wrote about the 4 temperaments: melancholy, sanguine, choleric, and phlegmatic. Of course, yes, it really does have everything to do with your intuition. Remember, I mainly said that it stands on the legs. Sorry?
Tim Lahaye.
Yeah. Tim Lahaye. Yes, Tim Lahaye, you're right. So it stands on the legs of emotions, temperaments, attachment styles, and all of that. So it's being aware of these things and knowing your program. All these things are programming. All of these things are programming. Yes, genetics is playing it, but genetics too is also programming, So being aware of these programs and then consciously reprogramming yourself. So in that case where you have the adrenaline pumping, you're late for work, and the most important thing to do is to calm yourself, because what has happened. If it's that you were late, or if it's that you were early and then something happened on the road, what has happened has happened. What do you have control over now? Your emotions, your mind, what is happening on the inside of you, how you allow the escalation of your adrenaline to either go up or to remain stable. So at that point, what you should focus on is emotional regulation, not really trying to be intuitive at that point. Yes, intuitive in the sense that if there's something like a meeting you need to go in for, but first of all, regulate your emotions. That's the most important thing. And this book teaches you the mindfulness practices for emotional regulation, gives you practical real life examples of that. There are an array of emotional regulation techniques, and that even if you check on the internet, but you will not have the deep dive a book will give you on actually, especially when it comes to yourself. I know there's a part of the book I wrote about the archetypes, how it relates to the 5 elements of the world. Are you fire? Are you water? Are you wood? Are you metal? And how you react to stress. So in that kind of stressful situation, that book is an expo for you to say, okay, this is how I react to stress. And these are the things I need at that point. So the mindfulness practices that work for me will not work for you. If you're water and maybe I'm fire or I'm wood, the practices will apply at the point of stress is different. And why do you need to regulate? It's because when you leave your adrenaline up so high, it begins to depreciate your physical body. Back pain, headache, constant malaria. There was a year I treated malaria like almost 15 times. And that year I was like, I'm done. I think that was the year 2021. And then I went straight into energy medicine, and the rest is history. And I never treated malaria from 2021 till this year when I needed to do surgery, because it's like whatever was up with me had kind of brought my immune system down. And it was even just +1 since 2021 to 2024. So you can see why these practices are very important. Energy medicine is just learn how to regulate the energy in your body. Don't let me bamboozle you with long words or the buzzwords. Yeah. So emotional regulation is very, very important. I think that's what you need most, more than intuition. Because when that happens, when your emotions are regulated, automatically you open the door for intuition to happen and for the skills to be sharpened. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. Kizito has a question in the chat. What are your top 3 hacks for how someone can handle cultural bias in Western corporate circles?
Cultural bias, inclusion, and diversity. Wow. Top 3 hacks. Are there really any 3 hacks? Well, it depends. It really depends on what is happening. Is it a case of not feeling included? Is it a case of your opinions not being attended to? Is it a case of not understanding how the synergy in the team works? So it really does depend.
Coach,
But Western, okay, yes, please speak up. Let me understand you better.
Yeah, maybe I can give some context. So and this is my what I've experienced lately. So I'm currently in and at work. I have, so for context, at senior management, we are just 2 Africans, right? And there's that dynamic of it's not overt, it's very subtle, but you can tell that there's that sentiment that, oh, you guys are essentially not good enough. And I just joined the team, and so there's always been that tendency of certain executives on my plate that I shouldn't handle. So I get into a situation where, because I want to prove that I I deserve a seat on this table, I tend to see myself doing more than I should typically do. So I'll give an example. I'm responding to emails on a Sunday, which back in Nigeria is nothing, right? But certain executives see that, and during one of the executive calls just this past week, it was mentioned, but it was almost mentioned like, oh, coming from a place of dedication and all. But I know that that's not ideal, right? So how do I sort of like catch myself in those moments where I'm trying to prove a point that I deserve a seat on this table, but at the same time not going overboard, and essentially when is too much actually too much is my question.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Thank you. I remember one of the podcasts I watched of Evie Pomporos, or what how to pronounce her surname. She was the dedicated security detail to, I think, 4 past US presidents from George Bush. And as a woman training in that academy, later a male security detail that had not even gotten her position said to her that you shouldn't be here. The training they give you is less than what they give men. And she found herself trying to prove herself, like, no, I deserve a space here. I deserve to be here. She's from Greece. So she felt, okay, she's in the minority, she's from Greece, and she's also a woman. And then she got to the point where she felt, I've proven myself enough, and that is every other person's problem. I'm okay. I'm happy with what I've done and with the work I do, and the president is happy with the work I do. So if any other person has a problem with it, that's their own. She said there were other female details in their sets, but those ones didn't even send. But because she knew how good she was, and because of everything, guessing again, maybe because she's Greek, she really wanted to prove herself. And it got to that point where she was like, no, I'm done. So even if every other person says anything, she's like, I know I'm good enough, and I'm here because I'm good enough. So I think it goes back to personal management, reaffirming yourself. You know your worth. You know the work you're doing. You know you're good enough. And this is not going to end. Even when you leave this company and you go to a higher space and you go, probably you're working in the UN, for example, where they even say there's culture and diversity and all of that. You will still experience this in subtle tones. So I'm telling you this to prepare your mind, to prepare yourself. I was working with a government agency in the UK then, and I had this full blown in my face. I was a master's degree holder, and my boss was a secondary school leaver. And sometimes the way he would just say, all you're just doing is rubbish. This is not what we want. And in my mind, I'm like, come, I'm coming from MTN in Nigeria. I'll go, let me stop you. but it's just to try and tell you that it will continue. The only thing you can control is, number one, you yourself. Then 2, communication. Especially when you're communicating to them, don't come from a place of, I'm trying to prove myself. You already know your worth. It's not arrogance, it's confidence. So internal communication and then external communication. Then also setting boundaries, healthy boundaries, is important for your own mental wellness and well-being. And to say we human beings, we don't understand that someone is doing this to prove themselves. People will ride on that and want to ride you out. They want to burn you out. So it's very important you have that healthy boundary. Then lastly, your community. Hello? Please, can we all mute?
Hello?
Can we all mute, please? So it's very important that you have community as well. That just helps you to keep body, soul, and spirit together. So 3 things: internal dialogue. You're good enough. You don't have to prove anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep developing yourself. Keep doing of course, you already do your work. What was the second point that I mentioned? About other people, your communication shouldn't be from a place of grudge or I'm going to show them. It's very easy as human beings. But from a place of I know what I'm doing, assertive win-win, healthy boundaries and community. Thank you. I hope I did answer your question. Okay. Thank you. If I didn't see OBK's face, OBK, I'll just be talking and talking. I like talking.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you. It's been a helpful session. You know, this kind of one-on-one sessions you have, and you're just taking it cool, and you are digging in. At the end, it's like, I thought we are not going to do anything. We actually have done a lot. Thank you so much, ma'am. And many success on the launch. I believe that we've all taken note of how we can get a copy. Maybe you can share that in the comment section again, how we can reach you, how we can get a copy of the book, how we can get to know more about you. If there's a website, all the details we need, please share in the comment section. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. I enjoyed your session. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a blessed day, everybody. And please stay well, stay mindful. Bye.
Bye, ma. Thank you very much. Okay. Wonderful session there from Coach Toye Sesi on the mindful leader. I've had a lot of takeaways. Thank you so much, ma'am. And one of the things that if you take note of Coach Session's session, you will discover that there is that emphasis on support, that emphasis on making sure that you are not doing life alone. I think it resonates in virtually what all the speakers are saying, whether it was on discovering another perspective about the imposter syndrome, support is important, or relational intelligence, support is important, or being a mindful leader, support is important. And it goes back to the type of support you have, type of support system, type of community you have. And if you watch what SECA does and watch what the Octopus does, you find that there's that emphasis on community, on support, on not doing life and business alone. And to help us do that, particularly people who are into business and who have brands to take care of, he has written quite a lot of books, but very interestingly is the Marketing Without a Budget, a very powerful tool that can help you get to know more about what can I even do about my business regarding support system and community. So it's not just a book, it's a compilation of several thoughts, experiences, and perspectives. And you find out that in that book, there are strategies he shared, and of course, co-authors, Chris Chidi, who is on the call, and Othman Abdrashid also shared their perspective. The book is very important that you have it. I am recommending that you have that book for 10,000. The thing there is that more than a lot of copies have been sold, but we still have a lot more to give out. And your copy is with us. So I'm just informing you that you need to have a copy. 10,000, that's a copy. And if you do more than 5 copies, and we can do something about the delivery cost for you. Other than that, the delivery cost is on you, but most importantly are the important things you'll be taking out from that book. And not just that, because life is continuous and learning should be progressive, I will also recommend that you sign up for the mastermind, which is coming out September. The essence is to give you that hands-on guidance on what to do, how to build it, your branding, your community, and to making sure that whatever you do for yourself, whether a professional, an individual, a career person, a business person, revolves around a thriving community that reinforces your values, supports your values, thrives, and is profitable. At the end of the day, it's about the thriving ability of that business, the thriving ability of your organization. and support is important. So I'm recommending 2 resources for you: the Marketing Without a Budget, 10,000 Naira, and of course the Brand Community Mastermind. You can find all the details on the SECA social media pages at MySECA Africa or at www.secaafrica.com. Remember, SECA is Nigeria's finest company in coaching, behavioral change, strategy, business processes, and when everything that has to do with making sure that you try and succeed as an individual or a business. If you have been getting value so far, can I see a 1 in the comment section? If I get up to 10 of the 1s, then we'll move to the next section. If I don't, maybe we'll call it a day. I'm just saying. Okay, so just tell me that you've been learning, you've been getting value. Let me see 1 in the comment section. Yes. Okay, the 1, they are coming in. Continue. Let's get it. Okay, yes. Go ahead. Don't stop with the 1. Go ahead. Don't stop. Go ahead. Don't stop with the 1. Wonderful. Don't stop. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Remember that this is being live streamed on YouTube, so you can also participate and tell your friends to go join and watch. So it will be on YouTube permanently, just in case you miss out. You can always watch again and again and again. Our next speaker, our final facilitator, is terrific. He is terrific. So I'm going to do the best I can to summarize his profile, because it's like this. See the way my hand is expanded. That is how the profile is expanded. Like this, it's just expanding. And you really cannot tell when this profile will stop. But Ralph Obafemi, MBA, has been in developing people and organization through training and speaking. Since 2023, he began to organize youth empowerment meetings called Maximum Impact Foundation, back then in Gombe State. His passion for people development had continued over the years through PTI consulting, to Business Study Group, to Digibox Global, to several others. Ralph is currently a people and organizational development specialist, providing training, coaching, and consultancy services for several firms and SMEs too, including Infra Credit Guarantee and quite a lot of other organizations in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. He has a degree in electronics and communication from the University of Maiduguri in Borno State, and a diploma in LTE and advanced communication from the Informal Telecoms Academy in the UK. He has an MBA from Bradford University, UK, and he is doing a third in sustainability development practice from the University of Ibadan. Quite a lot. He is a WHO trained health first aider and a certified life coach, and an anger and emotional intelligence certified coach, certified with SOPCA, now SECA. Okay, Ralph is, he speaks quite a lot of other languages, Yoruba, Hausa, French, English. So I told you in the beginning that the profile is there. So if you permit me, I will ask Mr. Ralph to unmute. You can show us a video, and please, ladies and gentlemen, let's give Mr. Ralph Obafemi a warm welcome. Let's give
wow.
love to him.
Thank you.
Comment section. Let's clap.
Thank you so much. That's a lot.
You are welcome.
Thank you so much. Yep, it's a pleasure to be on this call. Please confirm that you can hear me clearly.
Yes,
and
I
that
can
you
hear
can see my camera. You can see me, right?
you. Yes, I can.
Fantastic. All right. We're going to do this as quick as we can. It's a pleasure to be here on board. Thanks to Coach Sam, the Octopus, and the powerful team behind SECA. Thank you for having me this time, whether it's morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I'll be sharing, I do have a screen which is a lot more interactive than it is a presentation, just for us to be able to have this beautiful engagement. And it's going to be for very few minutes. I have just a simple mission this afternoon. I'll be taking us through this beautiful engagement, which is going to be mind opening for every one of us. I'd like you to just stay with us for these few minutes. What I've observed lately is, we're somewhere in the middle of the year, and I've been having some conversation lately with some guys. And there are some guys that are saying, man, it's the middle of the year already, and it doesn't look like anything has moved for me. For some guys are saying, let this year just end already. Maybe we need a new year, so that a new year comes with its own good stuff. So for some people, they've signed out. They're like, man, this year is just not moving. Nothing has moved. We don't have, for whatever reasons, for some, it is about making decision or taking a decision, and it can really feel stuck. It can really feel stuck. I'll share my screen, and I'd like us to do, I'd like to see our response. It's going to be very engaging, like I said, and I'd like you to participate in your own interest. You're really going to benefit from this activity. Just a second, I'll pull up my screen, and then I'd like you to, please, if you can hear me, where are you joining from? I usually love to do this. Where are you joining from? Let me see you in the chat box. So there's quite a handful of us in the session. Can you tell us where you're joining from while I share my screen? Just hop into the chat box and tell us where you're joining this session from. Chat box. Where are you joining from? I have Madonna from Abuja. Fantastic. Let's see where you're joining from. OBK is in Abuja as well. Let's see where you're joining from. All right, River State, Port Harcourt, the oil city. Hi guys, if you're listening and you're in your kitchen trying to make some sausage or some pizza, or trying to pick up your remote and start seeing some weekend movie, let's do this in few minutes. So let's tap in the chat box. Where are you joining from? I am joining from Preston in the UK. Where are you joining from? Where are you joining from? Let me see 2 other responses, and then we shoot. Ontario, KZ, Kochito, Abuja, fantastic. Boss Tales, happy to have, it feels like family meeting now. All right, fantastic. So you would see a screen right in front of you. I'm just going to move that into presenter mode, and then I'd like you to respond. We're going to be talking, I won't tell you the title yet, but I'd like you to respond to the question. So you might just need to type menti.com and then use this code 57502194. Let me copy that for you. So all you need to do is go to menti.com. 1 second, and then put in this code. Okay, let me drop that in the chat box. We want to see your votes. It's about how you make decisions. You see, that question is quite simple. So let me put this first, mentimeter.com or menti.com, and then you put in this code. Yeah, so that's the link, and then you can just type in 57502194. So let's see your votes. Let's see your vote. To what extent do you rate your speed of decision making? What we've observed is that the speed of execution is the speed of success. Let me take that again. The speed of execution is the speed of, in quote, potential success. Execution usually is a function of how quick we make decisions. Personally, over the last 2 years, 3 years, I'd like you to probably take your mind back to some decisions you made. It could have been a decision about taking a professional course. It could have been a decision around traveling out. It could have been a decision about, what else? Buying a property, investing in a business, putting out a new product as a business person. Fantastic. Your votes are coming in. Your votes are coming in. And I think you can see that on the screen for yourself. To what extent do you rate your speed of decision making? I'd like us to have more votes. I see that we have few votes. Let's see, we're 16. If we can have a quorum, that's 3/4 of 16, that would be perfect. So if we split 16 into 3, if we can have 6 votes, and then we'll go to the next question. This is very important, and this is really going to be helpful for you. If you're listening on this call, this exercise is going to be very helpful for you. Very helpful. So, to what extent do you rate your speed of decision making? We're going somewhere with this conversation. We need one more vote. We have 5 votes. Someone takes decisions super fast. Nobody says just fast enough. Some say so slow. Finally, after lots of contemplation, nobody says he needs others to decide for them. Let's have one more vote. Quickly, guys, and then we shoot. We're going somewhere with this. We have one more vote. You just need to go to the chat. The link is there, menti.com. You just tap on the link and then you put in that code 57502194, and then you just click what your option is. Stay on the call, stay on that page. I'll flip through the next slide. Now, this slide says, to what extent do you rate the quality of your decisions? To what extent do you rate the quality? Do you see yourself as someone who makes quality decisions? Do you consider yourself to be someone who makes quality decisions? Can we see where you put yourself? High quality, fantastic. We have one vote. Let's see the votes come in. Guys, if you're not on this exercise, you're wrong. If you're not on this exercise, you're wrong. It's really, really going to be helpful for you to participate. We're getting somewhere with this. All right, menti.com, and that's the code. Fantastic. We got 2 votes. Can we see other votes? To what extent do you rate the quality of your decisions? You finish executing something, you finish taking a decision, you finish an action, and then you're like, I made the best decision. Regardless of what the outcomes are, you know that you made the best decision. Okay, someone is unable to vote, I see, and he types exceptional in the chat box. Yes, do we have any other person? You have a challenge, going to the link to vote is fine. You can just type that in the chat box. Feel free, type that in the chat box so we can move. The quality of your decision. Okay. Just good enough. So someone says, yeah, okay, just good enough. The just good enoughs are having it. They say, okay, yeah, I make a decision and then it's just good enough. Well, I tried. Well, I think it was okay. It could have been better, Fantastic. I think we have just 1 or 2 more slides to go, and then we just go into the meat of the conversation. Promise you it's going to be probably a 10-minute ride. What do you consider the biggest blockers to effective decision making? Now, this is supposed to be an open open response. It's actually an open response. So if you go to that code, you would see a slot where you can put in your responses. It's just a chat box, a short box. This is open because we want to just see from your end, what do you think impacts effective decision making for you as a person? I don't want to roll out options. I just want to hear from you. That's why it's an open question. And if you are unable to hit that in the voting link, you could do that in the chat box. That's fine. What do you consider the biggest blockers to effective decision making? Someone says not having reasonable information. Okay, so lack of information. Fantastic. Oh, cool. The responses are coming in. Someone says inadequate funding. Enough information about the risk of the decision. Fantastic. Someone says not having reasonable information. Great. So we have 4 responses. If we have 2 more, and then we take the last slide. What blocks you? What do you think blocks you from making effective decision? Effective decision. You see, funding is already talking about execution, right? Like, okay, now decision, making that decision itself. Before you start thinking about funding, you see that there are stages to this thing, right? Decision, getting that decision. Someone says not enough information. Fantastic. Self-doubt and procrastination. My bad. I should have, really applauded all of the speakers before me. For those of us who have been on this call from the onset, I believe that you got lots of value. The first one by Coach Patience was fantastic, talking about, that self-limitation, that self-judgment. It was awesome. Self-doubt and procrastination and indiscipline. Gentlemen, I'm putting that on the vote so you can tap it. What do you consider the biggest blockers? You see, so I took some of your statements and I had mine at the back of yours, and I've just projected mine on the screen. You'll see that it actually relates a lot with what you shared. The lack of clarity, right? Not so much information, not having enough information, reasonable information, the lack of resources. Someone said the lack of funds. Nobody really said too many options. Nobody really said that, right? Fear, which we could tie to self-doubt, imposter syndrome, self-doubt, that I can't, that I am not qualified, that is in my decision, I'm not sure. Someone says absence of support and counsel. Gentlemen and ladies, friends, thank you. We got to the end of the votes and we can feel the picture in the room. Thank you for that participation. What I'll be sharing with you in the next very few minutes, it's about decision making with finesse. Decision making with finesse. Please confirm again that you can see my screen. Very few slides and straight to the point. Why do we keep getting ourselves blocked with making premium important decisions, right? The speaker tried, thank you, OBK, again. He tried to really read a lot of stuff about me. I try to summarize this whenever I have opportunities like this, and that's what you see on the screen. I simply love talking to people into what they want to do, using what they know they didn't know they had within them. It's as simple as that. So thank you for all of that appraisal even before we started the presentation. Let's get into our decision. What do you say about this, gentlemen? Let's hit the chat box again. Someone said not having enough information stops them from taking decisions. Not having support systems, enough counsel, resources. Look at this one. Clarity is overrated. Clarity is overrated. Guys, if you want to unmute your microphone and say something to this, I'd love to hear that. What do you say about this? Is clarity overrated? Do we need clarity to make decisions? To what extent do we need clarity to make decisions? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Feel free to type in the chat box. Feel free to unmute. We'd like to hear from you. Just before we wrap this up. Is clarity all you need? Is clarity everything needed? Is it so crucial? And why does the lack of clarity block decision making? Is clarity overrated? If we have one response, we're good, we're going to move with it. Do we need to know everything about the decision we want to make before we make that decision? Like, do we really need to see the end from the beginning and then, yeah, I see it, it's going to happen, and then we just move in? Fantastic. I see one here. God's time said, knowing if someone has done this before, how did the person do it? Oh, yes, how the person did it is very key. That gives you insights, right? So that gives you some measure of clarity. But to what extent do we need clarity before we move in? Do we need to see everything before we move in? That's what this slide is about. You know, guys, we're talking about, okay, let me just take one or two more comments so that I can, we can share this thing together. Madonna said, clarity is important for me, especially for important decisions, so as not to make a terrible mistake. Fantastic. God's time said, not necessarily everything. You can't see everything. OBK said, there is a rabbit hole with trying to get all the information before making a decision. I love that analogy. So, Madonna, while clarity is important, you have a big decision in front of you. You don't want to make, you see, your words are they are well selected. Important decision. You don't want to make a terrible mistake. It's like, man, no space for not. It's either a 1 or 0. It's either I'm in, it's 100% or not. It's like, I need to get it right. Can I tell you something, Madonna? The passion for getting it right itself can be a stumbling block. So while getting it right can be so needful because it is an important decision, guess what? Not getting it right itself, is that a problem? Could it be a problem? I'm not discounting the fact that it is an important decision, right? But do you know that there are certain decisions that we are completely blocked from execution because we are so keen about getting clarity? Can I ask you another question, Madonna? At what point do you achieve 100% clarity that tells you, now I have all the clarity I need and I will get it right? Have you ever been at that point? Have you ever been at that point? If Madonna, if you could, unlock your microphone, I'm fine with it. It's a conversation. If you want to chat in the chat box, fine. It's so fantastic. You've not been at that point. So the question is, if you say, I need clarity, it's an important decision, I don't want to make a terrible mistake, at what point do we ever get to that we say clarity is now 100%? Clarity is tangible, like I'm holding this thing in my hand. I now have clarity. You know that statement, I have clarity. How do you mean you have clarity? What is clarity? Is it tangible enough? Can you measure clarity? You see, that's what this slide is saying. Can you measure clarity? Can you say, I have attained the point of clarity enough? Who says that you've gotten to that point? How do you measure the spectrum of clarity to know what you have known about a subject and what else you have not known about that subject enough for you to take a decision? Do you resonate with this? So it tells us that there is a devil behind clarity. In quotes, permit the word. There is a maybe not devil, there's a subtle blockade behind clarity that keeps tempting you, appealing to your, in quotes, laziness. Now, this is not to anybody specifically, right? I'm speaking to the class, right? To everyone. That appeals to our laziness, that appeals to our comfort zone, because we're always seeking clarity that never is attainable. So the first step, if you would ask me, to finesse in decision making is being able to say, I have sufficient information for me to start a journey. And that is clarity enough for itself. I'll quickly go to the next slide. I promise that we're going to make this quick enough. So this is something that has worked for me. It's a model I'm sharing with us. I think this is about the last slide. I call it the LOCSI model for decision making with finesse. This is what I use. If you want to Google it, you can Google it. You will never find this on the internet. It's not anywhere. This is a model that works for me, and I created this acronym. I really try to figure out something more interesting, something more trendy, kind of vibe-ish kind of acronym. I try. I know it doesn't work. So let's take it this way. LOCSI, right? If you're seated, you're listening to me, could you just say LOCSI? LOCSI. I'd like you to say it or write it in the chat box so that it sits in. LOCSI, it's a model for finesse in decision making. Yeah, decision making with finesse. LOCSI model. LOCSI. If you can, please type it in there. Thank you. God's time. Thank you. I love that. I love that you're resonating with the comments. Guys, are you in this session? LOCSI model. LOCSI. Let's see that in the chat box. LOCSI. I'll quickly run you through it. You're going to get exactly. I thought I was on full screen. Apparently, my other device is showing that I'm not in full screen. Can you see my slides? Have you been following my slides? I've been sharing. I'm not sure that you've been seeing my slides. What can you see on your slide? On my other device here is still showing the title page. Oh my God, unbelievable.
Making with finesse.
Unbelievable. I've been flipping my slides and I thought you were with me on the slides. Okay, this was supposed to be not a problem. We're still going to move with our pace. We're going to wrap up. Yeah, so let me see. Right, this is like this. 1 second. Okay. Shall we? LOCSI. So what does L stand for? Let's just move, right? Slide or no slide, we're good. L stands for layout. So before you make a decision, guess what? I tell people when I have conversations about effectiveness, performance and speed, and I tell them, we don't make decisions in a vacuum. For example, you're in a conversation like this and someone says, when I was doing my certification in project management, and then you just wake up and say, this project management thing, I think I should do project management professional course. Guess what? The first thing, when somebody calls me, I'm thinking I should do project management professional course, then I ask them a question. Has this ever crossed your mind before at any time in the journey of your career, or you just stumbled across it? Of course, there's always a first time to pick an information, but guess what? In our journey of life, there are periods in our lives and there are patterns. There are areas we've been coming from. We have dreams, we have goals, we have ambitions. Guess what? Whenever you need to make a decision, you should be able to ask yourself, does this decision connect at any point with any of the goals, dreams, ambitions that I have nursed at least in the past 3 to 5 years. At least it gives you a clue if that item is anywhere around your circumference of progress. I'll be using some words which are a bit more particular to me in my journey of personal administration, and I'll just try to explain them a bit. What do I call a circumference of progress? A circumference of progress is anything around my immediate view or that comes around my mind that connects with my dreams, goals, ambitions. So for example, have I ever thought at any point in time that I needed to be a project manager? Was it written anywhere? Did I think about it? Did I write it anywhere? Was it at all in any of my thoughts, in any of my patterns, in any of my goals? You know, some of those yearly goals, quarterly goals, and did it appear anywhere? That's a circumference of progress. Now, if I stumble on a decision that I need to make, one of the first things I want to do is to go back to that layout. That's the L part of LOXI. It's called a layout. At the layout phase, I don't know why my screen is completely frozen. What I could do is also share 1 second, just so that you can connect with this conversation. One second. I think I have it as well. In PDF, I think that's going to work. So I'll just share the PDF screen and then we move it there. Yeah, Canva can be sluggish at times, you know. Canva can be so loaded and you wonder what is wrong with this Canva thing. Yeah, it's fine. Let's roll. Fantastic. I think now you should be able to see the screen. You can confirm now that it's fine. I was sharing this about me, and then we went to clarity is overrated, right? Guys, can you now see this? And then we're on LOXI. Fantastic. So here's LOXI. I need a confirmation from just one person that you can see the screen, and then let's talk about LOXI and we're good to go. Do I have a confirmation? Blah blah blah. We server. Fantastic. LOXI. Layout. Decisions should not be made in a vacuum. That decision you want to take, you want to buy a property, has it crossed your mind before? Has it been? Let me show you something. I have a notebook here. I do this a lot, right? I'm going to try to use my camera on the screen and just show you this book. Just try to look at this, guys. Look at this. I'm not sure you'll be able to see this. Okay, so I think I need to turn. Let me do something like this. Okay. Okay, so I just turned off. I tried to put this as close as possible. It's looking very blurred. Camera is blurred. It's a book, right? I have 3 options here. I'm not sure how close you can see this. There's one title here that says Abuja. There's one title here that says Abidjan. And there's one title here that says Ibadan. Right? These were some kind of a personal, I call it scenario planning by city. And this was 2021 when I was doing some scenario planning about relocating my family. I used to work in Cote d'Ivoire. I used to be in Mali, in Sierra Leone, worked in a few African countries. Then I thought, you know what? Let me move my family to Abidjan. You know, because I want my kids to be bilingual. They should learn French, blah, 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 you know. And then I was like, how about Abuja? There are prospects in Abuja, you know. And then I have several other notes like that here where I'm trying to connect my decisions with some of the things I had written about my goals before. That's what layout does for you. You want to check how that decision connects with your goal. Please, if you understand layout, can you just give me an L in the chat box? You can just type it layout. If you got that, just type it in the chat box. Layout. The summary for layout says you don't make decisions in a vacuum. What does options mean? Option means that decision you want to take. Have you considered other options, or you're stuck to one because a friend said it, because my mom mentioned it, or because somebody I respected said it? If someone you respected said it, fantastic. You know what? There are potential other options that are available. So when you want to make a decision, we're talking about the effectiveness of decision making, right? We're talking about the speed and the quality of decision making. You don't want to make a decision and then you come back later to say, I should have explored other options, right? And then the third part, which is the C, let me see, can I knock this off? Yes, perfect. Consultation. So when you've done the layout, you've seen where it connects with what you want, your dreams, somehow it connects with your journey, your patterns over time. Guys, if I want to take a decision today, I only need to come back to some of my notes where I call it actually SOTU. It's called State of the Union. They do this a lot in the United States, and I took it as a tool for personal administration. I call it the State of the Union. So what I do in a typical SOTU exercise, and I do this quarterly, is that I write everything as it stands, as it is. So you see me writing something like today, 27th of July, the end of Q3, according to my plan, business-wise, I've been able to close 1-2 clients. I'm currently chasing 3-4 clients. Education-wise, I'm done with my master's. The next is for me to go into this certification. Family-wise, I need to improve spending time with the kids. I'm putting up a program, a learning program for the kids to start. I write a state of the union on my life, something like a personal administration that tells me where I stand with respect to several aspects of my life. Now, how does that help me? 2 years later, when I want to take a decision, I only need to flip through some of my state of the unions and see some of my anticipation forecast, or some of the things I wanted to do I couldn't do, or that I still intend to do, which are in my 30, 60, 90 or 180 days or 5-year plan. And then I just see that, oh, this thing falls in line with this thing. So it's not a decision that comes out of the blues and I'm wondering whether I want to do it or not. Do you get that? Do you copy? So let's go to consult. In the place of consult, I'm checking, and I think that was the comment from God's Time. You know, God's Time said something about consultation when he said you want to check if someone has done this thing before. You want to have someone who can bluntly tell you, I've done this thing and it didn't work, right? You want to check horizontal consultation, and that's what I put there, and vertical consultations, of course, because there is definitely a God factor in everything that we do. There is that consultation you want to take upstairs, right? There, God, I'm here. What do I do? Help me out, right? Regardless of your faith, right? Now let's quickly wrap this up. Let's go to the C part, selection. Now this is where you now really choose. Do I want to go for this product or this product, right? Do I want to go for this course or this course? Did I eventually choose Abidjan or Abuja to relocate my family? What informs that choice is where you now begin to use tools, and of course in selection you might want to consider some. Remember, you've done consultation, you've talked to stakeholders who are key in that industry, who understand that space, who have probably made mistakes in that space, who have probably done it, and you can take feedback from them. How was it for you? Did it make sense? Do you think I should go in? Remember, you check if it resonates with your own dream first. So your first check is with respect to you. Has this been a part of my dream, my vision, my goals, my aspirations all the while? Does it connect with any of my SOTU sessions? That's my State of the Union sessions. Does it connect with any of my personal administration, regardless of what you call your own private, personal time sessions? Does it connect? Then you bring it out. What are my options? You now consult. That's outward now. You go outward. You consult with someone who has been in this thing, someone who has done this thing. What do you think about this decision? Then you are ready to make a selection. Of course, there are tools that can help you. I try to put 1 or 2 tools there. The 6 thinking hats that tells you how to use your emotions to judge a decision. And then you have the wheel of life. Guys, if you don't know most of these tools, I really request that you should book a course with Seka Africa. Most of these things I learned them from Seka Africa from way back. The emotional intelligence coaching sessions, the anger management sessions, the soft skills sessions. Just go to Seka, right? Talk to OBK. I'm sure there will be a program that's going to help you to expand your thoughts on some of these basic tools, right? Basic tools. Maybe I should just take 6 thinking hats for the sake of time. You want to look at 6 ways. There's what we call the white hats, which are the facts. The black hats, the emotions. The red hats, the emotions. The black hats are the negatives. The yellow hats are optimisms. The green hats are the potentials in this decision. What are the positivities? What are the potentials? And then the blue hat is the big picture. What's the big picture? If I take this decision 2 years, 3 years down the line, how is this going to change my game? Right? Big picture thinking. That's the blue hat. Green hat is productivity. What's the fruit? What's the immediate wins? What do I benefit immediately from this decision? Red hat thinking, emotion. How do I feel? How will I feel when I become a PMP? I'm just using the PMP as an example. How will I feel if my children are in Abidjan? Black hat emotion. So it's like you're changing hats. You're wearing different hats and using those colors to change your emotion and your posture so that you can see through a different lens before you take that decision, right? And once you're done, you're able to weigh this and look at where you have more wins and where you can judge what emotions you can accept at the end of the day. Because honestly, everything is not going to be black and white. You're not likely to have one decision that's going to be 100% positive and another which is 100% negative. It's not likely. But once you make that decision, guys, and this is where the meat of this conversation is, the emotions of your decisions. Do you trust your guts? Do you trust your process? Do you trust your journey? One of the biggest problems I've seen in effective decision making is that we're always looking for an extra on the decision we've made. So you see people saying, I've not taken the decision, I'm looking for an extra. And that's connected with that clarity question I asked. At what point do you say you reached clarity? So one of the disempowering emotions in decision making is that part of wanting an extra, waiting for an extra, looking for an extra. There's really nothing extra out there if you've done your due diligence. You just find out that the extra you're looking for doesn't exist. There's nothing. You just make the decision and execute, and that's the last E. SEE, selection, the emotions. The emotions are important for the execution, because have you been in a situation where you took a decision, you started executing, and then you pulled out? Anybody there? I've been feeling alone for a while. Anybody there? Let me see that in the chat box. You started a decision, you made a decision, you started executing, and then somewhere in the middle you pulled out. You're like, it's not what I wanted to do in the first place. Is anybody there? Yes, fantastic. Yes, Samira is saying yes as well. It could be that the problem was that when you made your selection, you didn't have the appropriate emotions that embraced the decision you've taken. Because guess what? Like our first speaker said on imposter syndrome, whether you win or you don't win, you have learned. So the emotions that guide the selection of my decision is the fact that I will finish this thing. If it didn't work out that I achieved the aim I wanted to achieve with this decision, I have learned something in the process, in the decision making itself, in the people I meet, in activating, in doing, in executing this decision. I have gained a lot of skills. I have met a lot of people. I have learned new software. I've learned new things, and that itself is a positive emotion I want to embrace, regardless of whether that decision gave me my ultimate objective at the end of the day. I will take it to the end. So one of the problems we have is because we have, from the selection point, we have always been looking for clarity that never gets to 100%. When we have that wrong emotion that does not help us embrace the decision well, when we get to execution, we begin to drop balls. We begin to excuse ourselves. It's not what I wanted to do in the first place. It was not that my friend that was just pushing me. It's not really what I wanted to do. Guess what? That thing you really wanted to do, you still have not done it. The one that was close to it, that came up as a decision, you dropped it on the way. I don't know if you're getting I don't know if you're getting it, right? So the essence of this session is to help us achieve decision making with finesse. If I'm in for a decision, I put the layout. Does it connect? What are the options? I do a few consultations here and there. I use tools to select. I guard that decision with the right emotions that say, I'm into this thing. I trust my guts. I trust my process. I trust my journey. Nobody loves me better than I love myself. Nobody can take a best decision than I can for myself. So why do I think that there is something I'm missing out somewhere? I have taken the right decision. I trust the process and I will go ahead and execute it. And whether it gives me my ultimate aim or not, I will make the best of this decision. Guys, this is exactly just what I wanted to drive in this conversation. And guess what? I stumbled on this scripture sometime last week, Matthew chapter 11, verse 19b. It is from the good books. And I like you to just, everybody, regardless of religion, look at this from an open mind. Wisdom is shown to be right by its results. Wisdom is shown to be right by its results. Guys, do you know what this means? Anyhow you take a decision, it is the result that will confirm whether your decision was good. That means if you don't do, you will never get to a point of confirmation whether you made a right move. And is there really a wrong move? You win or you win. You win or you learn. And what Coach Sam will say, there's really no wrong move. So, if I'll take any two keys from this presentation, what emotions guide the decisions? That emotions will help you to drive you to execute, and then of course, the outcome of your decisions. And who says that that result was a bad result? Is there anything like bad results? Maybe the result was not optimal, but how about the process? There's a lot of wisdom in the process, right? There's a lot of winning in the process. There's a lot of learning in the process. So why am I bothered about the results anyway? Because there is also a process that gives me a lot of benefits. Gentlemen and ladies, I think this is where I draw the curtain. I hope that you've been able to pick some good gold mine from this conversation. I'll be happy to hear feedback. See one or two comments in the chat box, or probably unlock your microphone and share your thoughts about this session. Thank you for spending this beautiful weekend afternoon with me for something around 40 minutes. It's been a pleasure. I hope it's been for you too. All right, over to you, OBK. Thank you, Seka.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. That was brief and straight to the point. I like that model because it kind of takes you from start to finish. You know, you really can just look at it from a spectrum and ask yourself, where am I? Am I at the layout level, or am I at the selection level, or have I gone to the execution level? You know, there are sessions. Yes, the comments are there. Comments. God's time says he got value. Madonna says, "Wow, it was an amazing session. Thank you very much, sir." I think that's a big takeaway from all of our learnings today. Samira Biko said, "Thank you, amazing." Yes, you know, it helps you know at a spectrum. You just can't know where you are on the meter. Have I gone to layout? Are we? So it means that I don't start executing when I've not laid out several things. I can't start executing when I've not considered all the options.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yes, I won't start executing when I'm not done with all the consultation. So if I start executing without the necessary consultation, completing the consultation phase, I may be missing out one or two people who are key in the execution phase. You know, sometimes we find out that because of the way our society and culture is, there is that don't tell people part. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't let it be within us. But we forget that the execution phase we actually need that neighbor just the next compound. And they'll be like, that office I went for, my neighbor is actually the DG. So, and we've been greeting good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, not knowing that all the good morning is actually going to the same office. So sometimes those are some of the things.
Yeah.
It's quite. Thank you so much. So that framework.
Just to respond to that, on the framework where we talk about consultation, one of the things that are very key is, you see, we are in a where we understand that we're in a climb where people need to protect their wings until they need to release it out there, right? But you cannot be more than, I take an example of Jesus, for example. You cannot be more than, in the good books we had that he had his inner caucus. There were disciples that were disciples of disciples, right? There were inner layers. In cabinets, in government, we hear kitchen cabinets. People come in leadership and they bring in a circle. You cannot make progress without your own circle. It is not possible. You cannot take a decision stand alone. You would always find someone you can trust, someone that can be blunt to you and tell you, someone that does not send your emotion, it doesn't send you, that can tell you blunt things. You cannot not have such people around your immediate space that will be able to tell you about potentials about your decision making. It's not about releasing your secret or telling people something you want to do and then they will go and use it. But I think that, part of Coach Chito was talking about relational intelligence, talking about conservative, and we had fantastic sessions earlier. Several coaches, Coach Toyin came and blew us away with another level of corporate relationships, communications, and those EI tips, with that book that is, it's something else, right? Do you see that line across all of the coaches? That relational connection, communication.
Yeah.
So you cannot not have 1-2 people that can be blunt to you, that can tell you the truth, people you trust, people that you can see their patterns, and then people that you can connect with what you want to do, and you can ask frank questions and get feedback. And once you're done with consultation, that's the LOXI, you move into selection, right? And I tell people, decision making frameworks should not be more than 2 weeks. Of course, these are relative depending on what you want to do, but locking a decision down should be on the average 2 weeks. Once you've done, you follow the process, the model, you've done your layout, your options, you've done your consultations, you go into selection mode, you build the emotions. The emotions are the firewalls that gives you staying power in execution. So I don't execute something, I sit down, I build the emotional firewall around what I want to do. So before I do it, I already know it's positive. However it ends, whether it gives me the ultimate goal or not, I know that this thing I want to do is positive. And you hear me saying it, I'm doing it, because then there are many options out there. You go on the internet, what you just started today, there is another advanced version that comes up tomorrow. You're like, don't start this one, oh my God. Forget it. This one, I will finish it. There's something in it for me. Right? Of course, open mind. If you can upgrade, why not upgrade? But at least that tenacity, that staying power is there because the emotions that guides me through the execution have been well built. Thanks, bro.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing. How do we get in contact with you? And where can we find you online? Any websites? Any place we can go and download the resources? How do we get in touch with you? Please share them in the comment section. I believe we've had a wonderful session from Coach Faith Iyahan down to Coach Ralph Obafebe. It's been a wonderful session in this month's edition of the Pan-African webinar. Thank you everyone that have joined us. Please remember to follow SECA online at MySECA Africa, and of course check us out on our website www.secaafrica.com. Thank you very much. Should you have any question, any comment, please reach out to us via email services secaafrica.com, or you can send us a DM. Our team will respond. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all of our speakers. You've been amazing. And the link for the YouTube will be sent to the several platforms we have, whether on WhatsApp and, of course, on social media. Thank you very much. On behalf of Coach Sam Obafemi, DDA, and our COO at SECA, Stella Onwuchie, PHRI, myself and every member of the team, we are very grateful and thank you for joining. Please join us again in the next month's edition of the Pan-African Webinar, August 2024. For myself in Abuja, it's a good afternoon and thank you.